Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Oh. Hey!
There we are! Hello over there! Hello!
We have the 5 chair setup today, Bull.
Yes, that is correct, because I was not supposed to be here today. But
he's
now
in
I
the
am.
building.
Well, yeah, that's right. You want to be off.
That's right. I will share. I haven't talked about this on the air. Many of you know my wife 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago at this point, was diagnosed with leukemia. And she's been doing really well. Unfortunately, she needs to have a transplant now. Many people know it as a bone marrow transplant. It's actually, these days, it's a stem cell transplant. So she's going in the hospital today for 4 to 7 days and comes out for a couple weeks, and then she's going back in for 3 to 6 weeks. It's going to be a very tough time for me and my family. I'm going to be taking a little time.
4 to 6 weeks?
4 to 6 weeks, yeah.
Oh, my goodness,
so
Bull.
I'm going to be taking a little time off in
You're going to need
April,
some
May.
help?
We got plenty of help. My in-laws have moved to Cleveland for through the end of July. They just came this past weekend.
Are they staying with you so you'll have
No,
some in the
we
house?
got them a house in Rocky River that's 5 minutes from our house.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
it worked out nice. And we have tons of friends, so many good people. The first time my wife went to the hospital, it was the worst because we didn't know anything about leukemia at the time. It was COVID, so I couldn't even visit her after the first week. It was beyond horrible.
Wow.
And we had so many people in our community, friends and people we weren't even that close to, that came through for me and my family. I'll never forget it. And they've all reached out to me again and whatever. So I wasn't going to talk about it, but whatever. But my wife was
you know what? But the UCS family, the one thing we've learned about them is they will support.
That's right.
And I know I speak on behalf of all of our regular watchers, but certainly on our staff, anything, Bull.
That we know.
Anything.
And you guys.
I know you've got a lot of help. But anything at all.
I appreciate it. You guys all knew what was going on, but the fans didn't. I appreciate all the kind words and thoughts and prayers that everybody has had. So my wife was supposed to go in the hospital this morning, but we thought it was going to be this morning. We called in. They said they don't have a bed. It's a special floor that's very restricted. There's not a lot of beds. And so they had some people discharging today, but they weren't ready to come out yet. So she's not going to this afternoon. So I said, let's go talk sports for a couple hours. Take my mind off.
Very good.
So
very good. Well, hopefully we're a welcome diversion to that.
Yes.
And we're all with you. Again, anything at all. Don't hesitate. Just ask. Busy show. Josh Dobbs re-signed. We're going to talk about that. I love the move. We'll see where you guys are on it. One analytics website says the Browns have improved 3 wins already from last year. We'll talk about that. If that's the case, we're looking good. Also, we were going to do the Roger Goodell extension. That got swiped out for something else, correct?
Look at the guys in the booth.
Goodell is going to be overtime today for our paid members.
Yeah.
Bull put out a tweet today about a wide receiver idea that he talked about with the DB.
Oh, good.
So we're going to add that
So
in.
we'll get to that.
Surprise all of us.
Curtis Danberg is here, Guardians Vice President of Communications. Curious to see how we're going to watch the team this year. Will we get a pregame show? Will we have a postgame show? Where will the games be? Curtis will be here. We'll talk about all that. Good news from the Guardians. They sold out their home opener. Not that there was any risk of not selling it out, but you'd much rather sell it out earlier than later. And a couple of weeks before the home opener, it is sold out. That's April 7th against Seattle. Good.
Question is, will there be anybody there for game 2?
Yeah, well, the attendance will drop dramatically, unfortunately, unless you get one of those rare early April weeks where it's 75 degrees.
That's true.
And people just have to skip work and school and play outside. And McNuggets is on the panel, which means we got to go into the NCAA tournament. You've been chomping at the bit to talk more about this. It's odd that we haven't. I don't know what it says about the popularity of the tournament. I haven't looked at ratings.
Ratings
yet.
are way up, though.
Are they?
They actually are up.
I don't know that we should look about the last couple of years because with COVID and everything else, I'd be interested to see where they were versus 2019.
I think gambling has a lot to do with it, too.
Oh, yes. You're right.
I think gambling has a
but
lot
I
to do
also
with it.
think the NCAA tournament is not as good a talk topic as it is a watch the game topic.
I agree with you on that 100%. There's
Right.
nothing more exciting than watching a 15 down the stretch against a 2, or in this year's case, a 16 against a 1. There's something really, really fun about that.
Yeah.
The underdog drives the bus when it comes to the March Madness, and it's a lot of fun.
And I never quite understood why it is that sports fans digest that differently from anything else. Like,
is it the gambling and the brackets?
Because the younger guys or the teams that are the underdogs, everybody roots for them.
Yeah.
But if we were to watch like the NBA Finals, people would be like, "Nah, I want the Lakers to win, or I want other teams to win in the NFL." It's like the only sport that everybody collectively just jumps on the underdog bandwagon and be like, "Oh wow, I want to see
Cinderella."
It's because we want chaos.
Yeah.
We want chaos.
I don't know. I root for underdogs in other sports if I don't have a rooting interest.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because everybody else in the bigger sports has a rooting interest. Like, it's very rare to
Right.
find a team in the NFL where you're just like, "Oh, I don't have a team. I'm just watching
That's
them
true.
game." So,
And there's no other sport where the regular season is essentially irrelevant to the mass general public, and then the championship is must-see appointment.
So we pour all of our college basketball energy into a 3-week span.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so busy show, a lot to get to with that. Before we do that,
We
your
got
bet?
the bet. I went 1-1 yesterday.
Okay.
Because I picked the bonus. Good thing I picked the bonus game because Ohio State's women didn't cover. They won, but they didn't cover. It was I think it was a 4-point spread. They won by 2. But I won with Japan over Mexico. They came back.
That was a great game.
Yes, it was.
Wow.
Man, that I can't think of his name now. The pitcher from Japan who throws every pitch
101
miles an hour.
It's insane.
That's crazy.
They were down most of the game.
They were, and they came back in the 7th. And
Yeah,
then,
3
and
in the
then-
7th, I think, to tie
Yes,
it.
and then they won it late. But anyway, so it's
That
Japan.
sets up Team USA and
Right.
Japan in the championship game tonight.
In what is expected to be the most watched baseball game ever, including
world.
the World Series.
Yeah.
In the world.
You want to explain
Yeah.
why?
Well, because there's so many people in. Everybody in Japan's watching it.
So
and
here's-
there's people across the country. The tournament's been a huge success
It
for
has,
baseball.
but the Japanese audience will definitely put it over the top.
Yeah, right.
This is the way it was described to me once by Eduardo Perez, who played in Japan.
Yeah.
He said, think of the popularity of the NFL in the United States. I said, okay. He goes,
Yeah.
double it.
Come on.
That's baseball
Come on.
in Japan.
Come
He
on.
said-
Pretty much the only sport they care about, right?
It's it.
Yeah.
It's it. It's it.
Really?
That's all they care about. They
What about
love it.
sumo wrestling?
They love it. That's true.
There's-
Ping pong.
Yeah.
They love it, bro. They love. He
Yeah,
said it is unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How like when they have their Japanese League championship, he said every household has a rooting interest. You take a team and you watch it.
So are they
And it's like
devastated when Otani comes to the MLB?
No,
Like,
they like to see their
No,
best.
yeah,
they like
do.
him to come here.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's good for the U.S. too, because obviously
Right.
a lot of those games now are televised by
Japan.
THK or whatever in
Right.
Japan, so it grows
Yeah.
the game globally, similar to what China did for the NBA.
I used to do a baseball show with a pitcher who was in the big leagues a long time, C.J. Nitkowski, who also pitched in Japan for a while, and he said the exact same
Yeah,
thing.
he said he
It
can't
is
even understand it.
crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy. They love it.
Isn't that crazy how sometimes when we look at like foreign policy, this is not like a political comment, but for sports fans, it kind of transcends all that. Like Russia in basketball, or of the former Eastern Bloc of Russia, how they could be going through wars. We might not have the greatest relationship with their country or their government, but people love basketball in China. So when you see somebody and you go, it's like, well, you don't see the Chinese government. You just see a bunch of people who like basketball, or in the case of Japan, baseball. It's funny how sports kind of
International language.
Yeah,
It is.
I was at a World
No doubt.
Baseball Classic game a number of years ago in Miami. And they were playing, I think, Dominican Republic. It was certainly a Latin country. And it was incredible to me, the vibe inside that stadium. I'd been to big world soccer matches internationally, and that transcends that too. But the vibe was a full 3-hour party. Their fans come with costumes and flags and banners and drums.
Yeah.
And they really make it feel like it's a festive event.
Yeah,
but the vibe between the two fans, even though we weren't speaking the same language in many instances,
Yeah.
we could understand facial expressions
No
and
doubt.
high fives and everything. and it was
Japan,
great.
South Korea, Central America, Mexico, baseball's massive.
It's the game.
And I will tell you, I can see facial expressions because Anthony's giving us the EY.
Yeah, we
gotta go.
Talk
I
about
gotta
Bet
give my
Rivers. Go
Bet
ahead.
Rivers read here, guys.
Yes.
Hey, Ohio, Bet Rivers Online Sportsbook is the place to be for every single game. Now is the perfect time to join Bet Rivers Sportbook. When you use code SPORTS, you'll receive a second chance bet up to $500. Get in on all the action with weekly specials on your favorite sports like basketball and hockey to help you win big. Check out betrivers.com or download the BetRivers app today for the latest lines, odds, and boosts.
And don't forget, call Bull's 1-800 line. He has 5 winners for you. He's 11-12.
Guaranteed. But you got to call before noon.
Right.
I almost picked there was like some international basketball game today. I was like, I should pick that just
That'd
to
be
be
crazy.
different, right? But I didn't. And no podcast today, but I'll have one tomorrow, national podcast. I'm going with the Cavs tonight. I like the way they're playing overall. I know they didn't play well against Philly. I think the Nets are collapsing here at the end. I know it's a road game, but the Cavs have played much better on the road, especially against mediocre or worse teams. So I expect the Cavs to win. So I think they'll cover the 3 points.
All right, very good.
There you go.
Very good. Let's dive in with Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
I gave you my 2 cents. I love it. Where are we on that?
I think it's fine. I mean, ultimately, I think we all came to the conclusion that the Browns were not going to spend any significant money on a backup quarterback. Josh Dobbs is an extremely smart guy, an extremely likable guy, and he knows the system, right? I mean, I know the offense is going to change this year, but he knows the coaching staff, he knows the players. We've all consistently said pretty much if Deshaun Watson gets hurt for the year, the Browns are screwed, probably no matter who their backup is.
Yeah.
But
This gives you hope for 3 or 4 games.
in a couple of games. He did a nice job, by the way, when he played for Tennessee right at the end of the season in that game.
Played well.
Could you have had a better backup quarterback? Sure, you could have. But then you got to pay legitimate money. They're paying him like $1 million, $2 million. So I'm completely fine with it.
I was impressed with his maturity when he slid into the starting role in Tennessee. He looked like he belonged
right.
there.
When he had just joined the team.
Yeah,
basically.
he didn't look like a spotlight deer. He came out there. He played well. He knew the system. He had good command of the huddle and the guys and looked very much like a leader.
Yes.
And we talked yesterday, and Jay, you mentioned it specifically. You were impressed with Baker Mayfield going to the Rams on 2 days and essentially learning that offense and winning a game. Dobbs was on his 3rd team in 3 weeks when he started that game for Tennessee, and they didn't win, but they were 14-point underdogs heading into that matchup with the Cowboys because they were resting Derrick Henry, their top tight end, who it's not a Quankro, but it's a Conkwo. It's almost exactly the same as the guy the Browns signed. They had no weapons, and he went out there, threw about 55% completion percentage, ran for 3 first downs.
No one told him he wasn't supposed to win that game.
Exactly, and he had them in there till the 4th quarter. And seeing him come in, get in a huddle with guys that he's not familiar with, and be able to perform at a level that we had never seen him do before. He had never started a game in the NFL. That was his first career start.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty damn impressive.
Right.
I thought so.
I like
the move.
I would rather I like to have mobile quarterbacks as my backup, and I'll kind of explain why. It's kind of difficult when you get a quarterback and he's a straight drop back guy, 1, 2, 3, make reads. That game is harder to string together first downs. That game is more difficult to game plan around. And you kind of saw it a little bit when you look at the 49ers. They had it right in the playoffs. They had, what was it? He came in and got a
Brock
concussion.
Purdy?
After Purdy.
Oh, Josh Johnson.
Yes,
Johnson,
Josh Johnson.
yeah.
And the reason why you see a lot of those quarterbacks like Tavares Jackson, Josh Johnson, is because you don't have to lead on their arm. You can do other things. You can run screens. They can move around in the pocket. They can do some design runs. And you don't have to be perfect, dropping back, reading defenses, throwing the ball on time to be successful. So I like Dobbs. He's smart enough to kind of digest a playbook in a week, even though he's not getting reps. And he has the ability he's shown in the preseason when he played. That's why the fans like him, is because he can move around and make some plays with his legs and his feet.
And he hustled.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about him, was that, he was, hell, didn't he dive in for a touchdown in one of the preseason games? You're like, dude just put his life on the line.
And he had the 40-something yard scramble where the defender, and it got called back because of holding, but his shirt had stretched out like a mozzarella stick, at Chili's for the 3-for-3 combo.
We be loving backups up in here. We love.
Nobody loves a backup quarterback more than the Browns.
They're signing all the guys I covered in college, by the way.
We love them.
Dobbs in Tennessee and then Mond here, so.
Yeah.
So we're locked and loaded with the backup quarterbacks. Should anything go down.
Yeah.
We feel good about it.
I think the key here is it upgrades where we were 2 days ago.
Yes.
Nothing against Kellen Mond. I just don't have faith in him. I can't trust what I haven't seen. And I've seen Josh Dobbs, and I know that he looks like an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Is he going to take us, on a crazy ride where if he has to start 8 games, he's going to go 6-2? No, very unlikely. But I think, he could win 3 or 4 with, as long as the pieces around him do their jobs. Who knows?
When you said that, Jay, I don't know why I got butterflies in my stomach. You said, we got to start 8 games? I said, hold on, man. No.
I know. Not go down that road again.
Not this. No.
Let's not go down that road again.
Yeah.
Well, you know, no team in the NFL plans that at the start of the season. They plan to have their starting quarterback for 17 games. Let's break huddle and go.
Yeah.
But we see how it plays out. We did this exercise earlier.
Half the teams in the league didn't have their quarterback for at least 3 games last season. Half the teams in the league.
That's scary. So you know, I know it's an insurance policy that you hope you never need to cash, but you're actually betting your starter's going to get hurt the way you fill that role. And we saw last year how important a guy like Brock Purdy, who had no experience and no business doing what he did, took that team on a ridiculous run. And if not for getting hurt in the NFC Championship game, who knows?
You ever been so sick before, you've been hurt or something happened to you and it's traumatic, and then you get through it and you look back at it and be like, man, I was really messed up back then. I can't do that no more. It's almost like I don't understand how we did a whole year of doing this show, and we had to talk about Jacoby Brissett. How did that work?
It was tough.
That's 11 whole games. That was hard. I'm like, I don't want to do that no more.
No.
I don't want to talk about that.
We don't want to live there. We don't want to go down that road. You have an idea for a wide receiver. Well, quick on the wide receiver news.
Wait, can I ask one question first
sure.
to G?
Yeah.
G, is there any significance, and I'm probably not the right person to ask, but I'm asking you here, an all-black quarterback room for the second year in a row for the Browns? Like, is there more significance to that than maybe meets the eye?
Well, now I think it's diminished because sometimes there's a stigma placed on it, but everybody was competent, right? So Jacoby Brissett came in and did what he was supposed to do. So Josh Dobbs came in, and he's a very smart, intelligent person. And sometimes, I guess the importance of it is the fact that a lot of times African Americans weren't given an opportunity because there was some false narratives painted around how successful they could be, or if they could really be that professional face of a franchise. But as we see, all 3 of them that backed up Deshaun Watson, they came in and did their job admirably. So now, if it happens again, that's a great thing about giving people opportunities. Because now it's not as big as a thing, right?
Right.
It's like, hey, look, well, it's not that bad.
Do you guys see the color of the quarterback? Because I don't.
2 quarterbacks in the Super Bowl this year.
I know, but I know what I'm saying is, though, I don't. When I look at a quarterback, I make a lot of judgments. Foot speed, arm strength, how he goes through his progression. I don't look at the color of skin, just like I don't look at like white quarterbacks and what color eyes they have.
I don't care about
It's a DNA characteristic, and I'm surprised so many people still see that. I don't.
Yeah. I think, when there's never been 3 black quarterbacks on a team before, it stands out.
I understand how someone could notate that.
Yeah.
But because the Browns were sub 500 last year, I'm not going to make a knee-jerk reaction and say, well, that proves you can't do that. I look at, well, do you have 3 slow quarterbacks? Because teams do.
But Jay, the
and
reality,
I'm more likely to make a judgment based on a team that has 3 slow quarterbacks.
But there are plenty of people that, hopefully less than there used to be. Certainly,
that's my point, Bull. That's the point I'm going to.
Certainly less in power than they used to be. But there were, for years, as G said, black guys weren't given the opportunity to play quarterback in the NFL.
But certainly we've put that to bed, haven't we? That's why
Certainly.
I'd like to think that by now we have certainly killed that narrative that you can't win with a black quarterback.
I still think there's always biases from some people, hopefully a lot less than there used to be.
Well, why don't we look at in baseball a black pitcher? We never do that.
Well, that's because baseball was integrated hundreds of years ago. Not hundreds.
Well,
but
no, it wasn't.
Baseball was integrated, in the 50s?
Yeah.
Late
40s.
There weren't many
late
black
40s,
quarterbacks until recently.
2023, that's what? That's 90 years.
Well, when you look, if
80 years.
It was really 48, 49,
Yeah, 48,
49.
Yes.
So you're talking about
75 years.
Almost 75 years. But I don't know, at what point did we say, well, he's a black pitcher? Nobody ever said that about Bob Gibson. And Bob Gibson was less than 2 decades after the color barrier broke.
Well,
and you know what they said about Bob Gibson?
Where people say, but maybe there weren't more black. First of all, there's not a lot of black pitchers in baseball.
Well,
not a lot of American, There's Latin pitchers.
There were
but
more
there's not a lot
black
of
pitchers
American
in the
black
70s and
pitchers in
80s when we were
baseball.
young than there is today.
I mean, you have a PCC read really quickly?
Yeah, do that. Get that out of the way.
If you want to hit PCC here, Earl, looking for a job with career advancements and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. And all locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, get a full benefit package, paid time off, signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. So Earl jumped into our YouTube chat today and asked if they were happy with Josh Dobbs signing.
What'd they say?
We have 86%
Was anybody against it?
86% said yes. And what was that, Jay?
I was just wondering if anyone was against it, like what their argument was for why they don't like it.
Well, 13% said no out of about 300 votes.
I mean,
Earl, did we have any arguments?
The argument against it is that you could have somebody better.
have
There are
something
better options,
Yeah.
but they're more expensive. So
Theoretically,
According to Earl, there were no set arguments in the chat for
Right.
against it, but 13% of people said no.
Yeah,
so
the only
take
one
that
I
with-
can think of is, if you have someone bigger and better in mind, you know.
You could have got Brissett for the same money. You'd take Brissett over Dobbs, but
You know what's funny to me, and I thought this when I read the Dobbs story. Not that they would ever bring him back because you couldn't, but there were reports, and I feel comfortable in saying that the annual offer was between 18 and 25 for Baker. When Baker's people said you're in the wrong neighborhood, exactly what it was. There probably wasn't an exact because they were talking in generalities. But it's been told to me that general number was between 18 and 25. And they felt that was more than fair. Baker's people didn't think it was. They thought it should be more in the 25 to 30. They could have had Baker Mayfield for $4 million for next year.
yeah.
I mean, you talk about life decisions where you just blink and you make the wrong choice. I watched
Grass
some of
isn't always
Baker's news
greener.
conference yesterday on NFL Network.
seen
He
that
looked
too.
like a guy that just found out that his entire family had been slaughtered by a hurricane.
Yeah.
he still handled the press conference poorly, as usual. He got mad. Somebody asked him a question about like criticism and
He got his dander up right away.
Right away.
I
Like,
mean-
I've changed. No, you haven't.
You just proved you didn't change.
Yeah, right.
A buddy of mine that was at the news conference said the aura in the room
Right.
was uncomfortable.
And it was a nothing question. The guy wasn't trying to be antagonistic.
No,
at all.
I don't think so. He's just got this chip on his shoulder. You know how I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. If I don't know them, they get the benefit of the doubt until they prove to me they don't deserve it. In his world, everybody gets the benefit of nothing. When he's introduced to someone for the first time, I think he sees them with a knife behind their back.
Yeah.
That's how he's wired.
Which is crazy because I think I'm in the minority of people that, like, I think a lot of people like him. I think I'm in the minority of
I
people
don't know that he's.
I don't know.
I don't know about
a lot. I think he's been treated nicely by the
some
media in
people
general.
some people just aren't likable people. It's
Yeah,
just-
you're
it
right.
is what it is.
You were about to make a point earlier, G, before we did the piece.
Oh, yeah,
I don't want you to
I'm
forget what
Bob
you were going to
Gibson.
say.
Almost. So yeah, that's a good point. You brought up the fact of they don't say that about black pitchers. Let's give you an example of how you would get that same reaction. What if you had a pitching staff that was all black?
I think it's happened.
Not
In
recently.
the Oakland A's.
Right. And it probably would have been a big deal.
So if the Guardians,
And that's a little different too because your entire pitching staff, you've got 12 spots.
that's
your starting rotation, you got
What
45
if your
spots.
starting front court was all white in the NBA right now? I mean, I know it's reverse. It's not exactly the same, but it'd be the same.
It's kind of
The bottom line is
I wouldn't look
racism.
at it, though.
Racism still clearly exists. Obviously, it's never going away, and so it's notable because for
I
so
think
many years, no quarterbacks were. It was known that a lot of teams did not want a black quarterback.
Okay, but watch. How many starting white cornerbacks are there in the NFL?
none.
None. Zero. Do we ever talk about that?
No.
I kind of
Why?
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
We just talked about it recently.
Yeah, I talked about
I mean,
because we work with
is it-
Dustin.
Is it a narrative throughout? Like
Why
when we
should
were
it
at the
be?
Super Bowl.
White people are the majority, so who cares?
Why should it be? If you're making a determination based on a DNA characteristic,
Yeah.
eye color would be just as absurd. If you're gonna discriminate on blue-eyed people,
But people, are you saying people don't discriminate? I don't understand.
absolutely not. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is I still can't understand. Doug Williams won a Super Bowl 30 years ago, almost 35 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you this.
You can no longer say that a black quarterback can't win a Super Bowl.
Well, there's,
but no-
So who's the guy? Bill Polian, right?
Yeah.
Bill Polian is a pillar of GMs in the way you build teams. He's done it for so long.
Yeah.
When Lamar Jackson came out, he said yo, this guy needs to be a receiver.
Right.
And obviously, if you watch Lamar Jackson win the Heisman and you watched him throw the ball, you watched him run, you obviously knew that Lamar Jackson was definitely a quarterback. So there were some people who evaluate that position, and they're evaluating with certain biases and certain slants to it.
And some of it
What
may
if
be
a
subconscious.
what if a black, I don't think he wasn't a general manager, team personnel said the same thing about him?
Well,
because there was at least one black NFL personnel.
There's
who
barely
said
any black
Lamar
NFL
Jackson
personnel.
So I know, but when one of them speaks, it carries a lot of weight.
What I will say, but you can carry biases towards one culture or the other. I'll give you an example. So little children, right? And this is, just from doing, just watching videos in psychology, right? So they bring up black children and white children, right? And so they bring up and they give the black child and the white child a baby doll. And they say, I'm going to give you a black baby doll and I'm going to give you a white baby doll. They ask each one of those children, white and black, which one of those baby dolls is the prettiest. And so when you get the results, not only did the majority of all of the white children say that the white baby doll was pretty, but it was almost 85% of the black children said overwhelmingly the white baby doll was pretty too. So just because I'm the same color as someone I'm talking about, I can still have those biases instilled in me because I live in an environment that is telling me day in and day out. Everything is confirming that, yes, you are this color, but that's better. So it just shows you the phenomenon of, how would you?
And ultimately,
it exists. I'm not denying it.
But Jay, ultimately, the comparison to the white wide receiver is not a white corner is not a good one because there's never been any known bias, about. Well, I don't want a white cornerback
that you know of.
Well, but we know for sure there's been bias against black quarterbacks.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if there was no bias against white cornerbacks,
right?
You don't think we'd see more of them?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
Generally speaking, it's almost like
most of the people making the decisions are white, so why would there be a bias against white cornerbacks?
Yeah, also, most of the people that are making the decisions want to win.
Okay.
So if you want to win, you're going to do the best thing you can to construct the best team you can.
Right.
If the guy's purple, yellow, green, I don't care.
Well, it's easy to say that, Jay, but racism is part of life. That factors in.
So then is it racist that there are not more white cornerbacks?
No.
Oh, I see. It only goes one way then.
No, I believe.
You really think that's the same comparation? It's
well,
white people making the decisions.
Right. But
Jay, most of the people in football are white.
Jay brought up
G.
a
Bush
point.
G. Bush just said and made a very good point, and it was astute. You're right.
Yeah.
Blacks, when asked to pick the prettiest baby, oftentimes, predominantly, went with the white. That doesn't mean that the white general managers can't oftentimes go with the black cornerback.
There's a big difference between white people being racist against white people and white people being racist against black people. That's a pretty big difference.
Here's what I'm trying to get up. This is why I brought this up.
Yeah.
The idea that in 2023, we're still putting players in categories. Like, I'm kind of shocked that we're talking about an all-black quarterback room. I really am.
Because it was unique. Why wouldn't we bring that up?
I understand that it was unique.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
and it's not like we've talked about it that much.
No, I know, but
we barely even talked about it.
That it's brought up to me is just like I'm stunned how much people still see color.
Because everybody sees color. I just think it's disingenuous or I don't know. You all see color. It doesn't make you racist if you see color. I'm not going to.
Yeah, but if you're making judgments based on ability,
there's a difference between seeing color and making judgments based on color.
Right.
Guys, when we're talking about ability, though, Bull, what is your wide receiver pick? Let's get to that. Let's get out of the weeds here.
We can spin our wheels on this forever.
Yeah, we can spin this forever.
What's your idea for? By the way, Marquise
you've been holding out on us, and I'm really curious to hear what it is.
We have to throw this out because it's news. Marquise Goodwin was in yesterday and today. Very, very fringe wide receiver at the end of the rope. Speed guy for sure. Not really high on the production of Marquise Goodwin. It's just newsworthy.
He's going to be 33 years old this season. He's had one good year in his career in terms of production. That was 4 years ago.
He's never been He's never been the guy that they thought he was going to be.
No,
he's got Olympic speed.
Yeah, he
an
had
Olympic
one really
long
good
jumper.
season with the Niners where he had almost 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago. He's old.
He doesn't move my meter.
If they bring him in, that's fine. You're paying a minimum salary, probably.
That ain't
whatever.
It would be a minimum salary.
Before the show, earlier today, I tweeted after talking with Didi and I were on the phone for a while yesterday, and after our conversation, I started thinking about a wide receiver that, now that I've had a chance to talk to her and think about it more, is a wide receiver we've talked about that I haven't really been in favor of the Browns acquiring. But before the show, Earl and Mike were harassing me to try to find out who I was talking about. They were naming all these random names.
Yeah.
Rumpelstiltskin.
And it was, in fact, Rumpelstiltskin.
I thought Jerry
his
Rice.
40 times like 4-2.
Yeah.
He can move.
I mean, and you guys are going to laugh who I say this guy is, because we were arguing about.
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
DeAndre Hopkins.
No.
You're
Let's
saying
hear
OBJ.
G's
Hunter Renfrow.
Hunter Renfrow.
So now you're coming around.
We were arguing about this guy the other day, and
Because you called him just a guy.
I don't think he's that good.
Right.
But again, after talking with Aditi, and we were getting into our conversation, a lot of it was about Odell, and the fact that big part of the problem with Odell here. Even though everybody wants to blame Baker and whatever, and I blame Baker some for what happened.
There's plenty of blame to go around.
And everybody that knows, nobody dislikes Baker more than me, and nobody has blamed Baker more than me.
Right.
So I'm certainly no Baker apologist. However, a big problem with Odell, and part of the reason I don't want him back, is he's a sloppy route runner.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
He's a freelancer.
He goes off script, and that's not.
That's why it wasn't good for Baker, by the way. Baker's too small to be able to see that.
Yes.
So he's throwing to spots. He expects his guy to be there.
And Watson could handle that better than Baker could,
100%
certainly.
agree with that.
However, Stefanski's offense, even with Deshaun Watson, is going to still be, and you talked about this recently, G, where you talk about he's got the guardrails on the offense. Like, there's a plan, and you got to follow the plan.
Right.
And Odell is not a plan follower. That's just not his game.
No.
Fact.
And so after talking about this with Aditi, I said to her, I was arguing with G and J the other day, and I don't really love Hunter Renfrow. But you know what?
What did she say that changed your mind?
Well, because we talked about how important it is for this offense to have the
structure.
She talked about, why did Amari Cooper do better than Odell ever did here?
Yeah.
Even though he's not maybe the talent that Odell is.
Sure.
Because Amari Cooper runs perfect routes.
Yep.
Amari Cooper is always where he's supposed to be. And that's what Hunter Renfrow does as well.
Yeah.
Now, I think you guys like Hunter Renfrow more than I do.
Possible.
And you still do. But I think for this offense, and especially once my favorite guy, Brandon Cooks, went off the board, for this offense and this team, and then I brought back the fact that he played with him in college, and so they have some rapport already.
He's making all our points. He's getting so big.
This is
He's
crazy.
growing up.
Shout out
to see.
So
Shout
I've
out
come
to
around
Aditi.
to tell you guys to be excited about that. Not that it means it's going to happen.
Shout out to Bull.
Yeah.
Because
Shows
he
growth.
was so dug in on this the other day.
Yeah.
And it's very rarely do people admit, you know what, I've changed my mind.
Well, and I did say, listen, I said the whole time, I'm not anti-Renfrow. I just didn't want him to be the best move.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, I don't know if you have a choice. He might be the best move you can make.
Because it's getting late.
Right. If they weren't interested in Cooks, I can't imagine they're interested in Hopkins because Hopkins is making a ton of money too. He's even older than Cooks.
Are
and,
you guys
and he's not
still
as fast
seeing
as Cooks.
a lot of folks that really want them to bring in DeAndre Hopkins? Because
I
I'm
mean,
talking
through Twitter,
I've talked to some not on Twitter, but the people that I run into and the people that are asking, like, what do you think? When it always comes back to what they think, and they're like, I think we need DeAndre Hopkins. It's stunning to me how many people have told me in the last week, well, everybody else is gone. DeAndre Hopkins, he was great with Watson once upon a time.
I don't think he's the right fit, but in the end, I think if they traded for Hopkins, none of us are going to be mad about it.
Yesterday, Earl gave me a call.
No.
I was sitting there doing stuff, and first I was doing the Locked On Brown podcast, and then Jeff called me like, bro, you got the internet on fire. I'm like, what happened? They signed somebody? Then Earl called me and said, yo, bro, they going crazy. Then you see your timeline, they're going crazy about this receiver conversation. I'm like, what? I didn't know this was earth-shattering. I thought we knew.
What did you say that drove everybody nuts?
That they need a receiver?
They need a receiver. People went crazy. People are like,
people were freaking out that G was upset that Barry hasn't been more aggressive in pursuing a receiver.
Yeah.
You know, it's stunning to me how quick this fan base will have the backs of a front office that heretofore has proven nothing.
It is.
But man, they've got so many apologists in the chat rooms and we all show up on Sundays. We're all apologists.
I was, and I had to do some research, because sometimes when you see something and you're breaking it down and you look at it and you're like, why do so few people feel that way? Why, what is the point of saying or being upset if you say they need to be more aggressive in this area? And so I had to get on the time machine and I start doing some research. And to be a really diehard fan, you have to really think about what it means to be a fan. That means you are emotionally attached to a team and a person that you don't know.
Yeah.
So when you're that emotionally tied into it, like we all are, because we wouldn't do this for a living, we weren't. When you criticize your team, it's like you criticizing someone's family, their mother, their children.
Yep.
There's people that take the games.
This is what I don't understand about that, because you're right, but here's what I always tell fans. You're looking at it the wrong way. I'm not from an outside house throwing stones. I can talk about my brother, but you can't talk about my brother.
Me, Jay, and Bull, we argue all the time. But guess whose side I'm on if we outside?
That's exactly right.
Nah, we in the team. You can't talk to Bull like that.
And it's the same thing with our team. I mean, when I'm taking a shot at the Browns, I'm not doing it from an outside perspective. It's like I'm looking at my brother saying, you better get your shit together.
Yeah.
Because you're carrying my name.
That's
and
right.
you're better than that.
And
you're
especially
better than
you
that.
guys, because you're like, I kind of understand why fans sometimes get mad at me, even though I never say anything to to pick on Browns fans. I would never do that because you're my people. But still, but for you guys, I mean, you're fans. You've been fans of the team your whole life, so I don't understand.
I do think two things can be true, though. I think yesterday, G, we may underrate how aggressive Barry has been in the last 24 months, going after Watson, making the trade for Cooper. They've signed as many free agents as I think any team but Chicago this offseason.
Atlanta's signed more, too.
And Atlanta. But they're in the top 5%. But
made
also
a lot of moves. But
not been aggressive enough in other aspects to go push all the chips in this year to give themselves a chance to win with a quarterback whose cap hit is only going up and up now after the restructure. I think it's $19 million this year. It's 64, 64, 64. In my opinion, this is when those chips have to be pushed onto the table. And when you look at Andrew Barry, especially financially speaking, his draft record,
Very
Yeah,
his ability to acquire talent in trades and free agencies. I think he's done good in trades. He's had a ton of swing and misses in free agency. What we do know Barry is very, 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 very good at is manipulating the cap. And that's why I'm okay with them pushing all their chips in, whether it was for Cooks, Hopkins, Renfro, whatever they have to do, sign a guy to more money. Because I'm more confident in him fixing the cap in the back end of that than I am with him acquiring talent through other avenues.
With the understanding on the cap, because we've had conversations here recently about the cap, and there will be a day of reckoning.
There is for every team eventually.
Yes.
But it can be pushed off for as long as you're willing to push it off.
And that's what we're doing.
And that's what I trust Barry to do better than others.
It's so important that you win in this window. Because the next window is going to be tough.
Yeah.
And I ask people all the time, if you knew today you had 2 years and you weren't going to be here no more, would you operate differently?
Yes.
Everybody would.
Yes.
Because the sense of urgency. Now, here's the thing, and I'm going to compare it to why you say, well, G. Bush, you can't run an organization like that. G. Bush, you can't. It's not that way. Well, let me give you a different perspective and see if you can follow me on this one. If you look at it from a player's perspective, they live that every day.
That is their life.
Their life is 2 to 3 year cycles.
Right.
They have an expiration date.
So when you are Myles Garrett, or when you are Nick Chubb, or when you are Joe Bitonio, and you're looking at your mortality, your career, your life in front of you, and you are hearing people say, oh, Watson's not going to be here for 11 games, this year don't count. How hard is that to swallow? Or this year where you hear, well, we don't have the money, we'll rather let younger guys develop. And you're sitting there in that locker room and you say, man, I'm icing my knees down. I don't even know if I got nothing left for this year.
Yeah.
And so what are we doing here? The goal is the highest goal in the world, to get here to the mountaintop.
And G. Bush, is that how you set culture?
That's how.
Without saying a word, you send a message to every guy in that locker room based on, we keep using this term, they're all in. Well, hell, shouldn't you be all in every year? Shouldn't every team do that?
No, I don't think so. Because
I expect that as a fan. I'm all in. I'm not watching 80% of the games.
I agree, but if you have a quarterback, I think it's realistic to expect your team to be all in.
Yes.
If you don't have that quarterback,
go get one.
And the Browns did, which is why now they are all in.
Right. I think it's fair. I understand when fans say, well, let's be a little patient here. But to defend you, like, if the Browns make a big move for a wide receiver, you'll give him credit today, even though you killed him yesterday for not doing anything. I do think you got to be patient, but we've talked about it. Andrew Berry doesn't get a complete benefit of the doubt because he's done, at best, a mediocre job as GM. That's the reality. And you can't settle. Again, somebody was arguing, Baker Mayfield was better than any Browns quarter. I don't care. He's not good enough. The goal is not to be better than Derek Anderson. The goal is not to be better than Colt McCoy. The goal is to be good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Couldn't agree more. And I want my GM to be all in every year. I just do, on all my teams.
And we could do two things at once. See, I'm not dumb. I'm not, I'm married to the results. I'm married to what the film looked like. If they came today and told me, hey, G. Bush, Andrew Berry, I went and got 2 receivers. They don't got to be having no name brands. If they can help the team, and I can look at them and say, let me go back and take a look and see what this dude was doing on other team. Let me look at his skill set. Yeah. How does it fit into what we have or we don't have?
Right.
You can do all those things.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think people they wanna err on saying let's just be patient because then if it does not happen, I can hedge my bet.
And also, what's frustrating with fans sometimes, and we all do this, even we all do this to some degree. It's like, oh, I want to get this guy, and then when he goes somewhere else, we make excuses why he wasn't the right fit.
Why he was trash,
even though we never said that before.
That is funny.
I got one point on G. Bush's going on. It's easy to look at it in totality and say let's be patient because when you're patient, you're always kicking expectations down the road.
Right.
And in this situation, I'll use the Chiefs for an example, then I'll bring it back to the Browns. Look at who the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl with when they won in 2020. Tyreek Hill. And I'm drawing a blank on that. Who's the other 2 guys they lost in massive friendship?
Clyde Edwards-Helaire don't even play.
It's a total. They just won the Super Bowl 2 years, 3 years later.
They have the quarterback. That's all that matters.
With almost an entirely different set of casting.
Well, they got
Kelsey and Mahomes are the 2 guys that stayed. And with this Browns
great coach.
But with this Browns roster, my point is
quarterback, a ball catcher, and a head coach.
Yes, and my point with this Browns roster is if you don't go all in with this collective unit, which we all agree there's 3 potential Hall of Famers on this team right now, I don't think Bitonio's here in 3 years.
No.
Nick Chubb, if he's still here, is a very different caliber player. Myles Garrett will be 30 in 3 years.
Yeah, they've got to win the next few years.
This is your window to win.
And it's hard to trust them to retool when we talked about their top 100 picks in the last 3 years have been terrible. In fact, let me read this real quick because before the show, we were looking at, remember yesterday we brought up those 10 players the Browns drafted in the top 100, and there were like 2 good players. The best players were Newsome.
There were way more misses than hits.
Yeah, there were like 7 misses, 1 okay guy,
and 2 hits.
And then 2 hits were Newsome and what's his name?
Emerson.
And Emerson. All right, let me give you the 9 players the Bengals have drafted the last 3 years, top 100 picks.
This is
you
going
ready?
to piss people off. Just be ready.
Joe Burrow,
Bust.
T. Higgins,
Bust.
Logan Wilson.
Bust.
All right, you're ruining the thing. Jamar Chase, Jackson Carman, who is a bust, Joseph Osai, and then last year's guys, Dax Hill didn't play, Cam Taylor, Britt Decent, Zachary Cart. So if you look at it, of 9 guys, 4 massive hits, 2 small hits, 2 unknown, and 1 bust. That's the difference.
But the key is 2 of them are Hall of Fame trajectory type players.
Yeah, and T. Higgins and Logan Wilson are both Pro Bowl caliber players.
Yeah, they're Pro Bowl caliber.
And, and this is why I can commend them because the human nature says we hit on T. Higgins. Human nature says the next year when you're not very good,
draft the offensive lineman.
Draft the offensive lineman, go away from the receiver because you have one. So that's my argument with when they say Amari Cooper. Guys, I love Amari Cooper. Love him to death. Love him. I need 2 more like him. Love him to death. But Amari Cooper is that much more dangerous with somebody else.
Yes.
They went and got T. Higgins, who could be a number 1 in a lot of places. You know what type of guts it takes to draft Jamar Chase after they're like, what are you doing? Why would you have 2 receivers?
When a left tackle was the presumed pick at that spot. It's not like they had to reach for a left tackle who was ranked much lower. Penei Sewell.
They knew that Chase was a generational talent.
And
they knew that the combo of Burrow and Chase in college led to the highest trophy. Let's roll the dice. And I hate to predict this, but I'm going to say it. Those 2 are going to lead to the highest trophy in Cincinnati before they're done.
We'll see. They better.
I don't see how they miss.
I
don't.
And if they were smart,
because it's the equivalent of what's going on in Kansas City with Mahomes and Kelsey.
If they're smart, they lock up both receivers.
And then if they were smart, go back
gonna be hard
to the draft and go get another receiver. See, I would because what you're doing, Tyler Boyd is the 3rd guy.
Yeah.
So now you got an availability of developing a young guy with all those studs, and you can get him for cheap. And now you control him for 4 years.
Well, and that's the situation you want to be in. The Chiefs have been there. The Eagles have been there, where you could draft a guy high and he doesn't even have to play right away.
Right.
The Bengals' first-round pick last year barely played because they had 2 good safeties, and now those guys moved on.
So you rotate the new guy in at a much lower price.
Right, at a much lower price. And
let's talk about this. I don't know what this website was. It was just an analytics website. Looked at all 32 teams and the moves that they made, and they say that the moves that the Browns made will result in a net gain of 20 points.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if you factor those 20 points into their points for and points against last year and the average margin of decision, they say that the Browns' moves this free agent period, this offseason, is worth 3 wins.
Correct.
That's the 5th highest improvement in the NFL. Are you guys buying that?
Wait a second. That's based on last year's point differential?
There was an algorithm that put together the player values.
What site was this?
Anthony, pull up the
Yeah, I wanted to know that too. It wasn't in the note.
That's a bad way to do it.
Well,
based on
it's a way to do it, Bull. I don't know what the best way to do it is.
Yeah.
But it's a way to do it.
But last year's numbers to me are meaningless. Every year's a new year.
I think it's taking into equation how close certain games were. I mean, and look at this. The Eagles, Buccaneers, and Chiefs are the bottom 3. I don't think the Eagles are going to take a 7-step loss-win record differential back.
The
Chiefs aren't going to lose 6-7 games next year.
I think the Browns roster now is better than it was at the end of last year, but they're only going to get a 3-win improvement if Deshaun Watson plays better, not because of the guys they added.
I'm wondering if that wasn't factored into all of this anyhow. I don't know.
If that's it, I mean, then there's an assumption of how well he's going to play.
I think it was just the offseason
This was based just on the offseason.
On the roster changes so far.
I can't buy 3 wins.
Here's the way deductive reasoning works. This is unless there's a way that they use that I don't know of. It appears that what they've done is first come up with the quantitative number of 20 points. That's the points added. Then you would go to points for, points against last year, average differential margin. And if you roll those 20 points that they say that they've improved in, and they're taking a lot of assumptions into this.
Yes.
So
it's a very imperfect science.
It's imperfect and it's not scientific.
It's a because schedule.
And the other teams have changed too.
Right, exactly.
So what they're saying is from last year's roster, this would be a pickup of 20 points, a net gain of 20 points. And that would mean more than 1 point per game more onto your points per game average, or on the differential. It would mean you're adding 1.3 to your point per game differential. Yeah. And then they run those numbers and say that would have given them 3 more wins. There's a lot of assumptions in that. A lot of assumptions.
If you're just basing that on the players they added and Watson is not a factor in that,
I think that's it.
It makes no sense because if Deshaun Watson doesn't play well, there's 0 chance the Browns will win 10 games. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but if Deshaun Watson is a bottom 10 quarterback, again, I think that's not going to happen. But if it does, there's no way the Browns win 10 games.
I'm looking at this slightly differently than that, Bo. And I do think Watson is the biggest win-loss factor in the Browns season this year. But I look at Tomlinson. I look at Obo. I look at Hurst, Hill, the guys they've added on defense, and then added in with Schwartz. And I think Schwartz, even though he's not technically an offseason move, may be the single biggest factor on win-loss sliding
you
scale.
can't factor that into an acquired players
I'm just gonna do it.
But I see what you're doing. Yeah, I agree with you. By
outside of Watson, obviously, I think Schwartz makes more of a difference than any individual player for two reasons.
Couldn't agree more.
One, I do think they obviously addressed the defensive line with Tomlinson, the Hurst-Hill combo, whatever that is. They can't be worse at stopping the run.
Right.
And with Schwartz, who has been an elite developer of interior defensive lineman talent throughout his career, that's going to open up everything for their linebackers.
Right.
And these linebackers, the Browns have JOK, Taki, Jacob Phillips. Say what you want about them.
They all suck.
They're all hurt.
Yeah.
They're all small, but they are fast. And the one thing we didn't see last year was them shed blocks and make plays. So I'm hoping that with Schwartz's tutelage, these defensive linemen can eat up offensive linemen and let these linebackers
the Browns win
to
10
fly
games
around
if
and
Watson
play.
doesn't play well.
No, and I said,
chance.
no, I agree with that. I'm saying Watson is the number one sliding
That's right.
scale in this. But I'm going to trust Schwartz to make the interior defensive line that much better, that the linebackers can fly around and make plays. And that's why I do think these moves, in theory, could equate to a couple wins.
Let me give you this. So say, for instance, like you're a chemist, right?
Breaking Bad.
And so you're a chemist, you know all these chemicals, right? And so there's a chemical spill, right? And everyone just hanging out. They don't know if it's poisonous or not. Obviously, they don't know whether it's a chemical spill that's going to kill you.
Kind of like Palestine.
Right. So when the panic hits you as a chemist, because you see that chemical on the ground, it's because you know intimately, like, what's coming next with that.
Yeah.
And you're one of a few people that know. Let me give you an example. You say, G. Bush, where are you going with it? I intimately know about defensive linemen. If there's nothing else I know, it's watching these big dudes up front. A lot of people just watch the ball, or it is what it is. You don't know anybody play D-line. You never played it.
You notice them when they make an impact.
I
Fan.
know how hard it is as a defensive lineman to stop the run. People throw it out there as a misnomer. You got to understand, you trying to fight in your gap, you getting double teamed, you don't know the snap count, you don't know the direction of the ball, you don't even know if it's a run or a pass. You are basically, as a defensive lineman, you are the infantry in the brigade. You are, when people used to line up and say, line up, and they used to line up behind them, the red coats and everybody shoot, that first line was the guys that usually got killed first.
They all did.
They died first
All
quickly.
died, yep.
They're the defensive linemen.
What you were doing
war.
as a defensive lineman is dying 60 deaths.
Wow.
That's what you're doing. Your goal is to sacrifice and die 60 times in a game to make sure that ball does not go there.
Right.
The people who count are the ones behind it coming through to clean it up. And right now,
So you don't like dismissing the importance of linebackers?
you can't have one without the other. They are tied to the hip.
Hand and glove.
And here's something we have to be realistic about also when it comes to the defensive line. Have the Browns gotten better on the defensive line? They have.
Yes. Yeah.
But we got to remember, the Browns had the worst offensive line in the league, defensive line in the league last year.
According to Jason, historically.
They haven't gone from the basement to the penthouse. Maybe they're in the middle. Maybe. I think we'd all sign for the middle.
Yeah.
I don't even
we
know.
pop champagne for the middle.
The reality is, if you're talking about the run defense, let's see how much better. Well, at one end, you got Myles Garrett. You still have Myles Garrett. There's no change. The other end, the one thing you say about Jadeveon Clowney, he's always been an elite run stopper as an end.
Yep.
So I don't know that they got any better at that end spot.
I don't know that it was last year.
Maybe not, but I don't know. I can't remember if Obo's any good against the run. I don't remember offhand.
He's physical and aggressive, but he hasn't played enough to really get a true evaluation.
Now, obviously, with Tomlinson, at one of the tackle spots, they've gotten better, clearly significantly better. At the other tackle spot to this point, we don't know. Hurst hasn't played in 2 years. The other guy. So I think out of 4 spots right now on the D-line, against the run specifically, we could say they are significantly better in one of those 4 spots and probably equal at the others. So I don't know. They're better, and I like what they've done.
Yes.
And I think I think it's promising.
Yes.
I think the defense is clearly better now, but we got to be realistic about how much better they are because there's still at least one potential weak spot on the D-line, and they still have nothing at linebacker.
One band, one sound. I watch Drumline all the time.
Great movie.
Everybody can be in their gap. and it take one person not to be in that gap, and it looks like you guys don't know what you're doing because he's going to score and not get touched.
That's where Jim Schwartz comes in.
Yeah.
In my mind. I hate to roll on Joe Woods so hard, but I'd said last week that I kind of blame 85% of the defensive woes on the guy that was drawing up the X's and O's. I just thought that there were too many times where guys were looking around pointing fingers. And I know some of it goes on the players. I'm not going to absolve the players of some responsibility because they ultimately are very responsible. But I just feel like it's like a classroom with a bad teacher. Mm-hmm. When you take that teacher out of the mix and you put a new teacher in there that energizes the students, teaches them what they need to learn in a more constructive way and a way that is sinking in better. I just think, and I like his no nonsense. He's a football man.
I think we all agree, Jay, but, he's not going to make every player significantly better.
He's going to make the unit significantly better.
Yeah, everybody agrees the defense
How
is
they
gonna be
fit
better.
together is going to be better.
He can't turn nothing into something at linebacker, and they really have nothing.
Now, he might be able to hide it a little better.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's no doubt.
They still need linebackers, period. End of discussion.
They need healthy linebackers because the linebackers they have right now just currently aren't physically able to go out and do what they
were all hurt last year.
I'm telling you, if you went out and it's just the way you think. When you go out and you get Bobby Wagner, that transforms everything you're trying to do.
You really only need.
You only need one guy.
Quite often these days, you're only playing two linebackers.
That's it.
Yeah.
So if you get one good one, then it's okay if the second guy's not great.
Because I'm trying to rehabilitate JOK, right? Like right now, I don't think he has the fundamentals. He never really played linebacker in college specifically. I need somebody to get with him to say, JOK, what better person to watch film with than Bobby Wagner to say, these are your keys. When the guard does this, automatically go right there because there's 9 times out of 10 it's coming with this play. Hey, when you're inside out on that tackle, I noticed that you went high on there. Right? No, you get him low. I watched film on him years. He's going to try to do X, Y, and Z. That's how you can get another coach on the field. And for me, it's not about getting all name brand guys. You just need to figure out on your roster where I could put a guy that could pay dividends down the line and exponentially grow your team and your roster. That's it. You just need one guy.
We can thank Bill Belichick for the modern-day linebacker and what he looks like. Belichick decided, you know what? The tight end is a very, very important position. Once thought of as, 80% block, once in a while spring free and catch a third down ball. Belichick showed you can win multiple Super Bowls if you're very, very strong at that position. And what that created were mismatches for the physical tight ends like the Aaron Hernandez and the Gronkowskis. You could not ask a big, slower linebacker to cover those guys in pass routes. So the evolution of the linebacker was we need smaller, faster. The Browns bought into that. The problem with smaller, faster, look at how much our linebackers were injured last year.
Yeah.
That's a very good point, Jay. I'm glad you bring that up. And man, you taking it from 2 injury-prone guys right here. Like, I was a defensive lineman. And if you look at the percentiles, I'm probably one of the biggest people in the world, basically, on percentiles if you're playing football.
G. Bush is a giant. People don't realize how big G. Bush is.
You're in the 99th percentile.
Yeah.
But when you are playing and you're trying to stop the run, that stuff puts a strain on your body, man. Well,
look at our guys that got hurt last year.
Who
was our linebacker that didn't get hurt last year?
Didn't exist.
None.
They were all hurt.
Exist.
And some of them season end. A lot of them season end.
I'm just curious, in today's football with the RPOs, the mobile quarterbacks spread out more than it ever has been, outside of the top 5, 6 guys, I'm not sure if there's that much of a difference between linebacker 8 and linebacker 26 in the league. So I'm not saying the Browns don't need to improve at linebacker.
Right.
But I just think it's such a weird position in today's NFL
that I don't disagree with you, Mike. Here's the problem: the Browns don't have guys.
Listen, they do need a
50,
linebacker.
60, 70.
Yes, I'm not saying they don't need a linebacker. I just don't know.
Studs and duds theories. You need to mix in some mid-range guys, like you said on the defensive line.
Right.
Some of these guys are probably middle of the road. Huge upgrade from where we were.
Exactly.
And when you pair them with a Myles Garrett, who is elite,
Yeah.
and you pair your average linebackers with corners and safeties who are more than average. Now, some of them are elite, some of them are borderline elite. You can hide those deficiencies, but what do we always say? The biggest part of ability is availability.
Yes.
And if you're hurt, and I don't know that there was a team in the NFL last year that had more attrition to the linebacking core than the Browns did.
Yeah.
No,
It
we
was
pulled Reggie
stunning.
Ragland out of
I mean,
Dave's Food Market
No, we
to
did.
start 4 games.
I thought G. Bush was going to sign as a linebacker. Tyvus was thinking about coming back as a linebacker.
Tyvus puts on 10 pounds. He is a linebacker.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
guys.
Close.
They were
It's
getting
enough
desperate.
of
They
this
were gonna call
football
me a
nonsense.
McNuggets.
Let's get to some baseball. Anthony, what do you got?
Yeah. So before we get to it, it is the top of the
I'm with
hour,
you
and
on
I'd like to remind everybody that at the top of the 12 o'clock hour, it is brought to you by, I gotta find my ad read here, Colleague Racing, your Northeast Ohio NASCAR team. It's one line. I couldn't remember it. And you guys, I want to talk about, you guys were talking about going all in.
Yes.
Well, if I'm ever going to bet and bet all in, I'm
Right.
betting with BetJack. If I can find BetJack on the TV.
All right.
The time is now, Ohio sports fans. Sports betting is live. Download the BetJack app today so you'll be ready to go all in on the action. BetJack, Ohio Sportsbook.
And our first guest of the day, as always, is brought to us by Lincoln Electric, the greatest electric makers in all the world, who I found out yesterday doesn't actually make electricity.
What are they?
Director Steve, what do they do again? Welding. They do
They're
welding.
welding.
Lincoln Electric does welding.
You thought they made
Why aren't they
electricity?
Lincoln Welding?
The ad read they sent us, and shout out Lincoln Electric. We love you guys.
Electric
Seriously, the
welding
greatest
is what I'm
electricity
getting from
in the
feed over
world.
here.
There's a thing called government regulations. You just can't get your own
Just
power
make
plant.
electricity. What is the matter with you?
The line said Lincoln Electricity.
No, I thought-
hiring for a great job. I assume
what
Lincoln
I thought
Electric.
Lincoln Electric was their
An
electricians.
electric company.
Right.
No, an electric company. What the hell are you talking about?
Like that's
An
Like,
electric
you
company.
Think, you think that Bull tomorrow could say, you know what, I want to be an electric company? I thought they did electric, like commercial.
I'd buy
residential
Bull's electricity.
You
would?
thought they made electricity.
Who would? Curtis, would you buy Bull's electricity? He walks in the room.
No.
He brings sparks.
Throw Curtis in.
Curtis Danberg is walking in like, what the hell is going on? Curtis, great to see you.
Great to see you.
Do I have this correct? Guardians Vice President of Communications.
Yes.
Congratulations
is
on that
Earl
title.
doing
By
okay
the-
back there? We don't have your mic plugged in
By
yet.
the way, Kurt, you can't hear Curtis?
Curtis doesn't have his mic plugged in
is his
yet. See, this is why I go out and do
Oh,
it.
Can we
my
get Lincoln
God.
Electric out
Can
here
we
to
pull
fix
it
this
together?
nonsense?
Come on, Earl, man. I trust you for one day.
Something just happened with IFB too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
We'll work it out. Hold on.
Does Curtis have his mic on? No.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
it's on.
does.
It's on.
Oh, okay.
He was just supposed to plug into the box. You don't get this kind of experience when you're guest on ESPN.
What's this?
Okay?
Yeah.
Next level.
Curtis, speaking of electric, did you watch the Japanese Mexico
Goes
game
into
yesterday?
that.
That
It
pitcher.
was awesome.
Yeah.
That pitcher. What's his? I can't forget his name.
Yeah,
now.
I can't pronounce his name.
Saki?
Yes.
Yeah.
He
Wow.
is. I can't wait till he comes to the big leagues.
Everything
Oh
was
my
over 100.
He's
God.
the best pitcher in the world not in Major League Baseball right now.
You
And
don't
they said
s-
he's like
Better
6
than
years
you?
away that he can come
yeah.
over.
I know
What's
he's
that?
really young.
He's only
Yeah, he's
21.
21.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he's 6 years away from when he can
I
come
know.
to Major League Baseball.
yeah.
You never see that. Like, you wonder in America if they'll try to make him a reliever. Because usually guys that throw that hard, they try to push him to the pen.
Yeah, the fear is if you throw that many pitches that hard,
Right.
you're going to wear the brake pads.
I
That's
think
what
he
they're
threw
gonna
like
go.
18 pitches in a row that were like 101.
It's insane.
It
The
was crazy.
WBC's been awesome.
It has been. You know, I'm
Right.
in this group chat of guys that I for years would play fantasy baseball, and like there's a couple of guys in there like they were pissed that Edwin Diaz got hurt. They're pissed that Altuve got hurt, and they're like, well, they should have this at the end of the year. And so I, since I'm such a baseball nerd, went to my spreadsheets and I said, there are 111 players as of yesterday who are expected to start the season on the injured list, and only 2 of them got hurt at the World Baseball Classic. Now, some of them were hurt last year, but there's like 60 guys that have been hurt in spring training that are going to miss time. Whenever you play it, that's the risk. It's the small risk. I think it's been by far the best WBC, Curtis.
It's been a lot of fun.
It's been the most.
It's been captivating.
We've been more interested in this one.
Yeah.
The ratings have been better.
Yep.
I'm a little different than Bull on that. If I know the Guardians have some players that are. Do they have any that are still left? No.
No.
They
Yeah,
did
we're
have
out.
some that were playing.
Which was fine for us.
Yeah, you're happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring him home.
Yeah, just get them home.
Bring 'em
out.
to Goodyear.
But you
Like-
guys get, and every team gets how important this is to
Yeah.
the sport in the big picture.
The players
Yeah.
love it.
The players love it.
We talked earlier, and I read
Yeah.
this in Bullhead too. I saw this online. Tonight's championship game between USA and Japan is likely to become the most watched baseball game in the history of the televised sport
Which is amazing.
ever.
Yes.
Wow.
That's because in Japan, I believe the households were $65 million. Now
Unbelievable.
Japan is nowhere near our population.
Right.
Right. But percentage-wise.
From a TV share standpoint, that's 140% of what the Super Bowl does here in the United States.
Damn.
That's unbelievable.
And this game's going to be even bigger. The few people that weren't watching the WBC last night against Mexico will likely be watching tonight.
Right.
So,
it's at 7 o'clock tonight. What time is that in Japan? Is that primetime Japan?
No, are
time
they
as well?
13 hours different?
I have no idea.
Give me 1 second, I'll look.
The Philippines is 12. I'm guessing it's like 11.
So it's 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, when we used to, I remember when during the
They don't care. They don't care. They'll
be
get
partying.
up.
By the
They'll
way,
watch.
I said this to you, even you didn't go this far, but I'm such a big baseball fan that when COVID first started and everything was shut down, I was watching Korean League
that.
baseball.
Yeah,
at 6 in the games were at like 6 in the morning, 5
I
in the
peeked
morning.
in on it, and after a little bit of it, I'm like, yeah, I can't. I can't.
For the
Decent
record-
baseball. Korean League is probably the third best league, right after
It
Japan.
was. There was a big drop off from what I expected.
Yeah,
I felt like I
the
was.
Japanese
Japanese league is
baseball.
really good.
But you know what?
was great.
I wanted to ask you. I didn't know if you know it was because you had left on the Wednesday that I was there in Arizona. Or no, it was the Friday. They went to Phoenix to play the Brewers.
Correct. Maryville.
Yes, there was a game. There were 2 games going on 2 of the fields at Goodyear. I felt like I was watching a high school game in the DR. Who was I watching? They were all extremely young prospects, all in the Guardians organization. They looked to be between 18 and 20.
That's just minor league camp.
And
What's
it's
going?
all Indians or Guardians prospects. That was phenomenal baseball. I watched. There were 2 games going on
And most of them
simultaneously, and I
will
was
be
going
in
back
the
and forth.
Arizona Summer League. They'll stay at the complex and play a league out there in Arizona.
And you guys have living facilities there
Correct.
now on the campus, which is great.
Right across the street.
Right across the street from the fields. But I got to tell you, it felt like I was looking at a high school game because the players were none of them had their man bodies. They all looked like kids.
Right.
But the quality, there was a shortstop that must have been throwing the ball to first base 95 miles an hour.
And a lot of those kids, we just had their high school graduation.
I saw
That was awesome.
over the
that you guys
weekend,
did
which
And
is
that.
really
That was
cool.
awesome.
Oscar Gonzalez was
Yeah.
one that got his high school diploma yesterday.
Curtis,
That was
let me get into the rule changes because obviously this has been a big thing. The games are down on average. I want to say 25 minutes.
25 minutes. They just announced a lot of those stats today.
I did read last night. I think it was Evan Drylick from MLB was saying that they may be doing some tweaking, potentially that the players. It seems like the thing where the batter has to acknowledge the
seconds?
pitcher. Yeah, I think
there's
they
been
probably
some
need to
issues
tweak
there.
that.
Yeah, I don't understand why that exists in the first place.
But I never, listen, I got to admit, I've been very critical of Rob Manfred at times, and I never thought as an old school baseball fan that I like every new rule. I love the pitch clock. I think it's better for the game to be quicker. The players are going to have to adjust. I love the extra inning rule with the play. I love all the rules. What do you think?
I'm a huge fan. It's
Yeah.
really a game changer for our game.
Yes.
We're going to be able to attract more fans. I mean, you get exposed to the new rules, and then we played an exhibition game against Mexico.
Yeah, Jay was saying the same thing.
We were there, and it's like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah.
Why is this so long? And then
Yep.
even watching the
when
WBC
when
games.
they were in the field.
Yes.
Because their pitchers were
Correct.
not, they weren't in that groove yet.
But
the
you're watching these
Guardians clearly
WBC
were.
games, and the pace is like, oh, let's go.
Yeah,
I know.
It's stunning that already we've noticed a huge difference. To the folks that haven't watched spring training games and you're going to start watching games once the regular season begins, you're going to notice it immediately. There were a couple of things I wanted to ask you about to see if there's been any movement on them. Carl Willis and Tito both were talking about something that was an unintended consequence of the disengagement rule. So the disengagement rule is only twice during an at-bat can a pitcher disengage from the rubber. Typically, a disengagement is if you step off to throw to first base. What they've already found is teams are taking major advantage of that, and once you've used those 2 disengagements, Tito and Carl both were telling me that they saw guys that were dancing, daring the pitcher, because we're conditioned as pitchers, when the first baseman says step off, when the runner gets too far off the bag, you step off. You do that now, it's a balk. He gets the bag automatically.
Yep.
Now, you can throw over, but if you don't get him, he automatically gets the bag. Tito had said that Theo Epstein had reached out to talk to the general managers to kind of gauge what the thinking was there. And Tito said, I think there's going to be enough pushback where they might make a change to that even before the season starts. Any development on that, or
I've not heard
waiting?
that, and I mean, I think these are exhibition games, so I don't think people are going to push the envelope until the regular season. So
Right.
I don't think we've even tipped the iceberg on this.
Yeah, I think that's going to be something
But I
to
don't
watch.
know. You know what? I think more stolen bases is good for the game.
No, but that's
And they've
not
seen
what it
numbers
is.
up, even
Yeah.
in spring training,
Yes,
compared to last
but
year.
that's not what it is. Carl and Tito both used the same term. They said that's gimmicking the game up.
Yeah.
All right, that's
so
fair.
what is? I told Tito, I said, well, what I would do is I would just hold that second disengagement in my pocket. I would never throw over.
Right?
two
Why are
times.
guys doing
Right.
that?
I would
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I would wait on that second one, and I would hold it.
But
So
that's-
that never becomes an issue.
And that will also speed up the game because if guys are, how many times do you see
3,
you throw
4,
over the
5,
first?
6 times.
Yeah.
That's the great thing. Not only is it cutting 25 minutes off the game, it's not like, well, if you cut the game down to 7 innings, you can cut 25 minutes off the game. This is cutting out 25 useless minutes of the game.
Yes,
and that's
right.
key.
That's the key to
Guys
it.
are getting home 25 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's huge. And I think one thing is interesting with the shift.
You see that?
Well, the Joey Gallo thing. Have you seen the Joey Gallo?
Well, the outfielders
Yes.
shifting. So that's going to
And
be
that's-
interesting. But Joey Gallo,
Is extreme.
Is extreme.
He's like Jose can hit the ball to left field.
but the batting average is up nearly 20%.
And
or
that's
20 points.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly what they wanted
Right.
to
They
have
want more
happen.
balls in play.
Well,
Look
and
at
I think-
Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think that especially lefties, because if you look at the numbers, I saw the numbers. I can't remember the exact years, but it was something like there was the batting average on balls in play from lefties and righties, and it was for over a 20-year span, and lefties just plummeted way more than righties. So I think these rules, because there's more overshifting for lefties. Lefties tend to pull a little more anyway. I think this rule is really, I think we're going to see left-handed hitters' batting averages skyrocket,
Yeah.
especially a player
Well,
like
more
Jose.
offense in shorter games is exactly what
That's
the
a
doctor
win.
ordered.
That's a
And
win.
So here's the big question.
I was gonna get to it. We talk about shifts and batting.
Yeah.
If we ain't gonna see these dudes on TV or what?
Yeah,
What's
how
going
are we
on
going
with
to watch?
Dallas?
Yes.
How are we going to
What
watch?
doing?
Explain to the average fan that might not have been following what's going on with some of these broadcast companies. Where are we now? Because when I last spoke with you, it was a little unnerving because it wasn't just you. It was your bosses that were also telling me, we don't know. And I'm like,
And it's half the teams in the
it's
league.
getting late.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of moving parts
Yeah.
with bankruptcy and things like that. I think rest assured we will be on TV.
For sure.
For sure.
All 162 or all
Well,
normally
we will
scheduled?
be on TV.
Yeah,
Where to?
Rest assured, one way or the other.
right.
But it's looking like we will start the season on Valley Sports Great Lakes, and we'll see how things play out.
Is there any chance that you guys down the line would have to create your own content or be through
Your own
Major League
platform, you
Baseball?
mean?
All I'll
Yeah.
say is we'll be on TV.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
I think the commissioner Curtis, when he did I was watching his press conference in Arizona a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was, and he talked about the fact that, and he's right, one of the biggest problems with baseball is games getting blacked out. It's
Maddening.
the accessibility is not where it should be. This has to change. I wonder, do you think this situation is going to lead to eventually baseball being more accessible?
I think that's the hope.
Yeah, it has to.
We recognize that that's an issue, and I
Yeah.
think that's one of the opportunities here as we're working through this is
Yeah.
increasing the reach and distribution.
So is there a possibility that the deal that we operated off of last year stays in place for the entire season, or are they going to try to fix this thing as the season's going along?
Again, it's once you get into bankruptcy court, and I'm not a lawyer, but there's a lot of things that have to play through.
Yeah.
So it's hard to pinpoint on this date or this date or this date. It could be a moving target as we proceed here.
How does that affect your day-to-day expenses and revenue, like payroll? Like, when you're a medium team, those dollars are very pivotal in order to carry
And
on
they've missed
business.
payments, right?
Yeah, and that's where there's some concern. So I mean, we've proceeded. It's business as usual from the standpoint of we're paying the players. We have our budget set for the year with potentially revenue not coming in. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Wow. Again, what's
Another dramatic. I mean, think of what we've endured over the past 3 years.
But what I hate most about this, Curtis, is the teams with the geographic advantage, and we know who those are, all the coastal teams, the major population centers. It's going to be another advantage that they have because, the Yes Network, they're not worried about this in New York. They're not worried about this in Los Angeles, where they've got huge local deals in place. It's the middle of America teams, the Detroits, the Clevelands, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Milwaukee's. this is going to be another hurdle to their success. And I worry about the long-term health of the game, because if you're only as healthy as your weakest segment of teams. And right now there are some haves and have-nots, and I don't think it's ever been greater, the difference between the two.
And the commissioners talked about this too. And competitive balance is a very important thing. So distribution, competitive balance. I mean, they're keep an eye on all that because it's important for the game.
Wow. I read yesterday that when the commissioner talks, that they're expected to extend Goodell, and they were talking about his accomplishments. He's going to get a new 3-year deal. It'll be his 4th. He's got $100 billion in national television contracts. Billion, guys.
His accomplishment, or could anybody have done it?
It
Monopoly
goes,
money.
It goes under his name because it's happened
in his tenure.
under his watch. They said that the last franchise sale before he took over in September of 2006 went for $600 million in the NFL. Okay, that was 2006, not even 20 years ago. The most recent sale under his watch went for $4.5 billion.
Yeah.
And it's stunning where the game has gone.
More shared revenue would certainly be good for the game. Kurt, what about the broadcasters? Do we know, are the Guardians, are Rick and Matt going to be on the broadcast?
What about the pregame and postgame shows? Will those?
Everything's in play. I mean, as we sit here today, we're all systems go for opening day.
Oh, great.
Well, that's the great thing about it. See, if you can't watch it on TV, then there's an option. You can just go to the games. What new stuff do you got going on at the park this year that fans can be excited about?
Well, the biggest news of the day is we sold out opening day.
Yes.
We announced it this morning.
Congratulations. We're excited about that.
29th consecutive year. Obviously, we pulled 2020 out of there. We didn't have any fans. So that was big news of the day. But they also cool new, we're going to throw out some new kind of items and new ticket packages. The biggest one today we launched is called a Ballpark Pass.
That's awesome.
So $49 a month gets you a standing room only ticket for every game. And you can keep repeating that and go $49.
Crazy.
So when we sold standing room only tickets for opening day, it's $39. You can go to any game as Ballpark Pass. It's non-transferable. So it's you. You can come to as many games as you want, and you can keep rolling that over.
That's
it's
the
$49
best deal
every
in
month.
professional sports.
I mean,
It's unbelievable.
I've never heard of anything like
It
that.
includes opening day.
14 games a month on average.
Yeah, I think the month of April we have.
So you're talking
13,
about
14
$4 a game.
Yeah, it's a steal.
Let me ask this though: is there a limit on how many of those you'll sell?
So we
Because
do have a limited amount. So you have to get them while they're hot and available. So we've already sold, in the first hour, we sold 300.
Yeah. The Guardians remain one of the best bargains in the country.
I know they do.
Yeah.
Of major league sports, not just baseball.
Particularly when you consider the quality of the product you're getting.
A high quality product, and it's a beautiful stadium. And
it's just a great experience.
All the remodeling has been spot on.
And more to come on a remodeling standpoint, but a couple of things. Half of our games have some sort of promotion tied to it.
Jeez.
95% of our games have less than $20 tickets available. So think about that. So if you're looking for value, we have it.
No better.
There's really no reason not to take the family and go down to a ball game. There really isn't.
For the
more
family
affordable than ever.
4-pack, we've got tremendous opportunities. And again, we're going to be a little bit more aggressive and have a couple more. We did last year. We did the $11 upper deck Jose Ramirez ticket deal. So you're going to see more of that this year. And we want more people to come down and support this team. I mean, it was electrifying in October.
Yeah,
There's no reason to keep that momentum going.
Curtis, I got two questions that we have to ask before we let you go. One, what has Mustard been doing this offseason?
Training
to prepare to snap this.
I see Mustard in the gym every other day. So, I mean, I'd like to see him there every day.
I just want to make sure he's in the gym getting this stuff.
Mustard is the Browns of condiments. Let's be honest.
And question two, I moved to Cleveland last year, went to a ton of Guardians games, and you guys are the best. But you're always at every game. Do you ever get sad that you can't listen to Tom Hamilton call a game on the radio because you're at every game?
I listen to it. We have I can pipe it up in the booth I hang out, so I can watch and keep an eye on Valley Sports Great Lakes. And
when you're in the concourse walking around to get concessions or use the bathroom, there's Hammy. And he's right there with you.
Well, obviously we tweet out those special highlights, the walk-off.
He's so good. He's so good.
Well,
Future Hall of Famer.
For 10 years, for 11 years on the radio, we could never have him on because of the stupid, rules. And so having him on the show last year, we had him on 3 times, I think.
He's a blast.
It was so awesome.
I'm biased. And I argue
best.
this with others, but he is the best in baseball.
There's
He'll get
nothing
in the Hall of
like
Fame.
There really is
Time will
nothing. If you're a kid of, if you're somebody of our age especially, growing, like just being a kid, I didn't watch a lot of games on TV. I listened to games on the radio, and you had all these iconic voices, and it's just something special to this day.
Yep.
I think baseball on the radio is still special.
There's a romance to it that the other sports
We've been
don't
lucky
have.
in our. I mean, Jimmy Dudley. You know,
Oh my
and
God!
obviously Herb Score.
Herb Score.
Joe Tate called games.
did games
Yeah.
for years. Have a good night, everybody. Joe was great. You're great. Thank you for taking time for us.
Hey,
and
great to
stopping
be here
down.
for the first time.
Can't wait for the start of the
Yeah,
season.
we're all jazzed about it. We cannot
Gotta
wait.
stay up late the first week there on the West Coast.
And I know I talked to you about this when we were in Goodyear, but we made some relationships with some of the guys who we really enjoy having on. And we'd like to have them come on and sort of be regulars with us, take us through the season as an
Phenomenal
experience.
group.
Sort of a
As we
diary
talked
of
about.
Curtis, and I'll say this, it is absolutely unequaled in my 35 years of covering sports. I have never seen a professional sports team with the quality of character guys that this team has assembled.
Yep.
It's obviously a talented group, but one after another comes in, and they're more impressive than the previous. Josh Belle blew me away. Musical choices. I wanted to know the music that he listens to. Barry White, if my dad's picking.
Yeah.
And Yanni, if my mom's picking.
Oh, my God.
You didn't see that coming, did you?
I almost fell out of my
didn't either.
chair. I said 80% of your teammates don't know who Yanni is. He goes, probably 100%.
80%.
It's crazy.
Well, and it starts from the top, right? Because you got Tito leading the
does.
way, and their leader as a player is Jose, who's a great personality.
It's just an
Special
incredible,
culture.
It really is.
incredibly
Can't
run
wait.
organization.
Cannot wait.
Thank you,
We're lucky
Curtis.
to have you
Next
guys.
Thursday.
Yeah, get out and support this team.
I for one, cannot wait to wear my Austin Hedges jersey, even though he's not here anymore.
God,
He's
enough
the
with Austin Hedges.
He's the doppelganger.
Just keep the shirt on and not off, like
Yeah,
No,
please.
no, it's
Please.
fine. I wore my
That's right.
Santana.
Curtis,
jersey.
Thanks, Curtis.
good luck this year.
Thank you.
I
Go
know you guys are
Guardians.
going to slay it. The great Curtis Danberg, the vice president, or as I call him, Veep, of the Guardians communications team. All right, great. And we're going to stay with the Guardians, right?
We're going to stay
Yes.
with the Guardians, but I'm also here to remind you that the 12 o'clock lunch hour is sponsored by Colleague Racing.
That's
Colleague
right.
Racing, your Northeast Ohio NASCAR team. And, gee,
And, you
we
know,
got to talk some memberships,
Listen,
man.
come on, memberships, man. Look, we got to get you guys in here. The chat is on fire nowadays. The emojis are going crazy. Everybody got their favorites. And, of course, G. Bush has the new emoji out. $1.99 for the starters tier. Loyalty badges, custom emojis, member-only community posts. That's the regular tier. And then let's get to the top of the food shelf. You know what I mean? We definitely got to get to coaches tier. $4.99. You get everything that you get in the $1.99 tier. Plus, you open up the discount codes and you get the overtime videos and member shout outs. So we're
And they
definitely
get to
gonna-
text with Jason Lloyd.
Yeah,
Who doesn't
and-
want to text with
at
Jason
the
Lloyd?
game. And by the way, I was supposed to remind you, we do have a super chat that we do have to get to.
Oh.
From
Although-
yesterday.
although-
We have a super chat.
No, this is from yesterday. Good memory. Donnie M sent us a super chat yesterday. Donnie M, I apologize for not getting that on. We got busy. I got lost in translation. But he wanted to know about DJ Shark. What do we think the Browns if they signed him? You said Renfro over Shark.
Yes.
I said I'd
Thoughts on
take
Shark?
him.
We take him. I think we'd all take him if he
Yeah,
was.
if he's on the
my-
board, I'd take him.
I'd rather have Renfro or Hardman over Shark for me.
And, you know,
Oh, really?
Yes.
Mine is Shark, Renfro.
You saying
and-
Shark over Renfro now?
Yeah. Well, I've always said that. I love Renfro. I'm just making the case for Renfro, but I've always said I like the speed factor with Shark. I would much rather have him.
But
he's my number one.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to get him. But I think Hunter Renfro is a solid number 2, and DeAndre Hopkins is a number 3 for me.
My number one, Jason Lloyd, coming live
Oh, good
from
one.
spring training.
Although the annoying thing about
Is he on?
He should be, Jason.
There he is. Of
course I'm on.
But the annoying thing about texting with Jason is you get the green because he doesn't have an iPhone.
Yeah,
Jason has an
that's true.
iPhone.
Oh, that's right.
Right,
You-
Steve.
Jason,
tries to
Steve
green.
Becker has.
I was
That's
like-
right. You used to not have an iPhone, right? You switched.
I converted to iPhoneism probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
I
welcome,
found a
welcome to the
case.
family. Hey,
Sorry.
Jason, we'll get to the Guardian stuff in a second. I've been dying to talk to you because I want to know, has Albert Belle happened yet?
Yes, I spent an hour with him. And
highlights.
hopefully we have more to come. Hopefully that wasn't our last encounter.
How did it go?
I'm coming back. It was good. He was. I told him 18 minutes in, I looked at the recorder and I said, "You smiled more in the first 18 minutes than I saw you smile your entire career."
Really?
And he said, "I've gone from a grizzly bear to a teddy bear." And he's a girl dad. He's a girl dad. He's all about soccer now. All play soccer. None of them play baseball, softball. They all play soccer. He wants to get certified to be a club coach for soccer. He is all in on soccer. So we had a good chat. I'll tell you so the Vigna story is great. And I did not record it because this is like my ADD kicking in. I stopped at Best Buy literally on my way to meet with him and bought like $700 worth of camera equipment. And I got there and I'm like, listen, I just bought this stuff. I'd love to record this, but I didn't tell you ahead of time. So, and he's like, yeah, I don't want to record. I'm not really dressed for it. So I probably should have planned that out a little bit better. So there's no video recording of it, but I audio recorded the whole thing. And what I'd like to do is just splice up the Vigna stuff and give it to you guys to play. His retelling of the Vigna story was hilarious.
Is it worth recapping it?
No.
See it?
No, don't ruin it.
Yeah, I don't want to give
curious,
it all
though.
Producer McNuggets is kicking in. Don't ruin it, Jason. Jay, we'll tell you off air, but don't ruin it.
Give me a nugget. Give me something from it. Does he regret it?
No.
Okay. So he's not completely
does not regret it at all.
So what makes
no, and he holds a lot of grudges. Like even still, he holds like all these years later. There's his people that he does not like. And I'll get into that story in that. But the one topic that he totally shut down on and would not talk about
the bat
was the cork bat. He would not talk about it. And I told him, because I hope so. I'm coming home. I'm on a red eye tonight. I'll be home in the morning. I'll be with you guys on Thursday. And then I'm leaving Sunday and coming right back out here. I don't know if I told Steve that. Hey, Steve, I'm not going to be here next week. I got to go back. I'm coming right back out here for the NFL owners meetings. So I told him I would like to sit with him again. And so here's the one cool thing that I'll tell you guys that I'm trying to do with him. The note cards are legendary, right? Like he kept these meticulous notes on pitchers,
on everybody,
on umpires, on everybody. And I said, I would love. I said, do you still have those? He goes, yeah, they're in my garage somewhere.
No way.
I said, I would love. Yeah, I said, I would love if you can dig those out. I would love to see those and go over those with you. So I'm hoping that when I come back out here next week, maybe we could sit down and maybe we can record that, and he'll let me video that of him going over the note cards. And I'll tell you one funny one from him. He on the list of people he really didn't like and still doesn't like was John Hirschbeck, the old longtime AL umpire who obviously had a big run-in with Robbie Alomar. And he said Hirschbeck and Angel Hernandez were terrible. They were terrible umpires.
I know Angel Hernandez was.
Yeah, he put Hirschbeck in that category too. He said the one day he had to move his back foot on a pitch and Hirschbeck called it a strike. And Albert Lightning, I think he said he couldn't remember the year, and then he finally settled on 95. And he said, I'm having this historic year. He said, I snapped back and looked at John and said, come on, man, that's not a strike. He said, like, I'm making history this year. You just sit back and watch. And if it's a strike, I'll swing. And you just enjoy the show.
That's funny.
And believe it or not, he got run for that.
He got thrown out?
So Hirschbeck ran him. Yeah, I mean, there was some more colorful language involved, but Hirschbeck ran him for that one, he said.
What did Albert say when you finished with him? What did he say? Like, did he say he enjoyed talking to you?
I mean, he actually said, like, it's been an hour. I'm like, all right, I'll let you go.
Yeah.
That's what we said.
So he was done.
He's not completely a teddy bear then.
He was done. And there was a couple like moments where he was just like ignoring me and texting and what. But I mean, he could have been more gracious. I took an hour of his time. He could not have been more gracious. And I told him when I sat down, I said, I was scared to death of you when I was a young reporter. Like I was 19, 20, credentialed for the first time in their clubhouse. I had no idea what I was doing. The one thing I knew to do, head on a swivel, stay out of Albert's way. And I said, I wanted to talk to you for 20 years. I wanted to do this. And at one point he referenced it. Like I said, how did you mellow? Like what finally mellowed you? And he just said time. You know, it was just time. And he made a reference to, you know, sometimes you come around 20 years later and have conversations 20 years later. So, but yeah, there's a lot there, but I still feel like there's a lot more to get to.
Yeah.
And this was funny. Last one. This was funny. I said, like, what are you most proud of? And he said he was most proud of turning around two teams, LSU and the Indians. He said when the Indians drafted him, he told them, we're going to a World Series, and they looked at him like he was crazy, and he took him to the World Series. So he's taking full credit for that. And I said, what's your biggest regret? Now think about Albert's life.
Yeah.
And think about all that encompasses. His biggest regret was he took pictures with all these celebrities, and he doesn't have any of the pictures. That's his biggest regret.
Not chasing the kids down on Halloween.
F those kids. Jason,
we talked about that.
What did he say about that? Because that's
something
something
for
that he's been most known for since his playing career ended.
He said he scared the shit out of them. He said they egged his house and they thought they were funny, and he came up on him and like blew his horn or flashed his lights or something, and he said he scared the shit out of them. They weren't expecting that.
Good.
That was really all that he said on it.
Yeah.
By the way, it would be really funny, like next time, if you had like an old Jim Rome moment. You know, remember when Jim used to be relevant? If you called him like, if you called him Joey Belle, and then like he jumped over and started kicking your ass.
God.
Don't call me Chris. You won't call me Chris again.
That would be great.
That'd be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun, Bull, if Belle came across the table.
If you do that, make sure the camera's rolling.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you better have a video camera for that.
By the way, speaking of the Athletic, obviously we're all looking forward to this article. Let's give a shout out to our buddy Zach Meisel, who wrote a great column this morning. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it. About Steve Olin, who of course was one of the two players killed in that boating incident years ago, and
it's 30 years ago today.
That's crazy.
Yes, and a lot of it is about his son. Anyway, I don't want to tell you any more. Read the article from Zach in the Athletic, because I was like choking up reading this article.
It was really good.
It was powerful stuff.
He worked on it for 6 months. This has been in the works for maybe not quite that long, but at least 3 months. He's really been working on this.
Yeah.
So, Jason, you've been out to a ton of spring trainings before. Jay just got back, and he said the vibes, he could tell were already different from what the team was at least expecting last year to what they feel they should be able to accomplish this year. Did you get kind of the same vibes being out in Arizona around the guys?
They're expecting to win. Yeah, they're expecting to have success. They feel good about where they're at. Two things can be true, right? Like spring training numbers don't matter. We know that, but at the same time, they need the pitching staff needs to start putting together quality outings. And Carl Willis looked good
Bieber looked good though last time out.
Bieber's terrific. Bieber's numbers. Bieber's got. Again, the numbers don't matter, but for reference point, his right there is it. Well, no, that's last year.
That's last year.
His ERA of the spring's under 2. Yeah, his ERA of the spring's under 2. He's been sensational. And Plesac was great the other night. He pitched into the 7th. He was supposed to go 85 pitches, and he was so good. Tito took him into the 7th, and he still couldn't get him to 85 pitches. So that was a really good sign. But outside of Shane, the rest of the rotation has an ERA of close to 7 this spring.
Yeah,
and again,
McKenzie's
not that big of a deal.
Bad.
Yeah, he goes today. McKenzie's the weather is kind of lousy. It's been lousy since I got here.
Ooh.
But they think that it's gray and overcast today, but they think that the storms are going to keep to the north, so they should be okay. So Tristan's supposed to pitch today. Cal Quantrill hasn't been good. He missed time, obviously, for the WBC, and he got hit hard there. He didn't even make it out of the first inning, lone start for Canada. And so he was kind of wearing it and feeling it, and Tito said he came to him, I don't know, yesterday, the day before, and Tito told him, would you calm down? Like, in a little bit more colorful language than that. He said, calm down. You always stink in spring training. Like, we know that. It's not a big deal. A couple years ago, when they didn't have a track record with him, it was a little bit bigger of a deal. It's not a big deal now. So no one's really concerned about him. So, but Carl said, we're getting to the point now. This is the point in spring where you want to start seeing guys sort of hone their stuff in and start putting things together and getting a little bit deeper, getting some quality outs,
right,
and really starting to get ready. Because Carl said you don't want to just try and flip a switch on opening day.
Yeah.
Jason,
So there's a little bit there with the starters, but by and large, yeah, these guys are confident, feel like they're ready to win.
Jason, any young guys caught your eye?
Gabriel Arias has had a great camp.
Oh yeah.
And he's going to make the team. And they talked to Tito. We just met with Tito while you guys were talking to Curtis. We met with Tito this morning, and he said they talked to Tyler Freeman and told him he's not going to make the team. So that pretty much paves the way for Gabriel Arias. That's not a surprise. Arias has had a fantastic camp. He's hit 350 this spring. I've kind of said it on the show before. it's sort of my understanding that they're looking at Jimenez and Arias as the future combination up the middle, second short combination. Probably not this year, at least not now. Rosario obviously is entrenched there, but Arias and Chris Antonetti said the other day, they feel like they can get him enough at bats to keep him sharp. They're going to move him around. Obviously, Arias played first base in the playoffs last year. He's played a lot of second. Jimenez was gone to the WBC, so it left a lot of at bats for Freeman and Arias. So Arias has played a lot of second. He played short yesterday in yesterday's game. They've tried him in the outfield, so they're going to move him around quite a bit. And it's a little bit unusual to have a top prospect really that you would keep in a utility role like that, but it's just sort of the composition of where this roster is and where they're at. And like I said, Chris feels like they can get him enough at bats. And Chris flat out said, Freeman and Arias are a little bit too complementary in their skill set. Yeah. And they would sort of cannibalize at bats from each other, and it may be hard to keep both of them, but they're confident they can keep one of them. And Arias hit 350 this spring. Tyler Freeman didn't have a very good camp, only hit about 160. And again, Tito said it's not really all about the numbers, but Tyler even told us he didn't have a lot of great at bats. He didn't have a very good spring, but they're not worried about him. Tito told him go down, and we're going to see him. He came up last year, and Tito said we're going to see him in Cleveland at some point, just not going to be at the start of the year.
I also think, Jason, you think about it. If I'm the Guardians, I'm not playing Josh Naylor at all against lefties because he can't hit lefties at all. So that's a chunk of at bats where you can get
it could
Arias.
Be, yeah. I still think Josh is young enough. I wouldn't chalk him to a straight platoon role yet. He's only, I think, 26. Last year was really his first full year and his breakout year. So I want to see if he can handle lefties a little bit better. And I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I wanted to talk to him today, and he was walking out to hit, and I didn't really get a chance to. But I actually wanted to talk to him about that and about him against lefties.
Yeah.
I still think he's too young to give up on. Now, obviously, he was not good. And certain lefties, absolutely, I would sit him against. But I don't know that I'd be comfortable moving to it. And maybe they feel differently. Maybe he will be in a straight platoon role. Right. And that's how they're going to get Arias some of those at-bats.
Jay, I wanted to ask about Oscar Gonzalez. I watched him closely when I was out there. I've been peeking at his numbers throughout the spring. And again, you just can't read too much into this, but it's all we have right now.
Right.
He's struggled. What have you seen?
Yeah.
And is there do you think there's any concern at all that, the thing that we've talked about so much over the winter might come to fruition, and that's, where he has sort of a second-year slump here?
Yeah, I think there's concern about that. And I actually asked Tito about him yesterday, and he said, listen, he's only got about 25 at-bats this camp, and he said, so that's 5 games. So it is a very small sample size. But Tito said, if he chases out of the zone, he's going to have problems. Mm-hmm. If he can get some discipline and not chase, because Jay, if he chases, that's going to be the scouting report on him, and he's never going to see a strike.
That's it.
So he's got to learn some plate discipline. And there's a lot of power in that swing. We didn't see nearly as much power as what he can get to, but he's got to stay in the zone. So, Tito basically said it's up to him. And his numbers this spring they're terrible. I think he's hitting around 100 or something like that.
It is, yeah.
I don't know about the off the top of my head. Yeah. So, but again, it is a small sample size. But with young guys like that, I think the numbers matter a little bit more than they do to someone like, Cal Quantrill, who Tito was joking with. You stink every year. We don't care. But it does matter a little bit more with somebody like Oscar. So, yeah, I think that I don't know if it's concern or if it's just unsure of what they really have there. But I do feel I think that they feel good about if Oscar does need to go back to Columbus, if he's not ready, they feel really good about Will Brennan. He can step in. Obviously, they've played Arias a little bit in the outfield. He's a natural middle infielder. Those guys you can put pretty much anywhere, and they'll figure it out. So they feel like they've got backup options in place. Oscar's certainly going to get the first chance. And then if it doesn't work with him, they feel like they've got other guys that can slide in there.
Jason, let's talk about the backup catcher spot. My assumption had been they would go with what's his name, Lavastida. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. And they just sent him down. They just sent him down to the minors. Cam Gallagher, who's a veteran journeyman, is he going to be the backup?
Yeah, it's going to be Gallagher. He was the backup at Kansas City, the backup to Salvi Perez. He's a veteran. Knows how to call the game. Knows how to handle the staff. So I just think that they like the veteran experience. They hope that Zunino plays. He looks healthy, and he plays, 4 or 5 days a week. And someone like Gallagher can be in that veteran role.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to talk to Zunino about working with this staff? Because the time I spent with him, he was very confident that he already has a really good working knowledge of what everybody has. He doesn't think there's going to be a missed beat at all there.
Yeah, I didn't hardly see him in the clubhouse. I was wrapped up Friday with Albert, so I wasn't here. And then the last few days, I was really anxious to see Josh Belle too, and he didn't come in the clubhouse once the whole time that I was in there. So right. I saw Zunino one time, and I think I was talking to Plesac, and by the time I turned around to get over to him, he was gone. So I didn't get a chance to talk to Mike while I was here.
Yeah, I got a sense that he's really comfortable with the guys. He obviously has a really good working knowledge of what they have, and that's always the thing that I worry most about. We'll miss Hedges if there's not that same rapport between the staff and Zunino. But he doesn't think that's going to be a concern at all. He likes all the guys. He likes their stuff. He has a good working knowledge of what they feel comfortable with. And, with Carl, I think
he's a veteran.
It makes it easy.
Yeah, Mike's a veteran. He's been in multiple organizations now. He's worked with a ton of pitchers. I think it's second nature to him. So I understand why he probably feels that way.
All right, Jason, have a good flight back, buddy.
Right. Yep, great seeing you. I can't wait to hear more about this Albert Belle thing, man. That's awesome.
All right. I'll see you guys on Thursday.
Later, Jason.
Not surprised that Albert still holds grudges. He was good at that when he was younger. He held on to things. It was funny. Jason said, we've seen you smile more in the last 18 minutes than I did your entire career. I had a veteran tell me, he's a retired player, but very similar mindset. Told me, I said, why the change? And he said, diminished testosterone. It changed the way I look at everything. I was angry and hated everybody when I was young, and now I realize how crazy and stupid that was. Maybe that's Albert too. I can't wait to see more and hear more about that.
It happens to the best of us.
He's gone soft. It's good to hate.
What's up, Anthony?
I just want to
You're
remind you
gonna
guys,
go soft
12
one
o'clock
day
lunch
too,
hour, sponsored by Colleague Racing. Colleague Racing, your Northeast Ohio team.
What kind of team?
NASCAR team.
Nice.
Yeah. By the way, I think it's Men's Fitness did a big expose on Matt Colleague.
Nice.
So and they're on their website. They have a video link, so they've also do like a little video expose too. But they wrote a nice piece on Matt Colleague, and his national profile is rising significantly with the NASCAR and the Guardians ownership. And with us.
I had the Colleague Racing hat on. I was in Northeast Factory Direct, and dude said, "You know Matt Colleague?" I said, "Yeah, I sure do. He sponsors our show." I'm expecting him to be like a NASCAR fan. He said, "You know what? He does so much good work in the community."
That's really what he's known for.
I was like, "That's crazy." He's like, "Yeah, he does so much good work in the community." He rattled off like 7 different things that he does that people don't even really know about, just from benefits to just different things. And he sat there and talked to me for about 15 minutes just on what he's doing in the community.
Of all the things that he does, and I'm familiar with a lot of them because we do a feature together highlighting a lot of the giving that he does, but he and his wife, Lisa, had a very difficult time becoming parents. So they went to an in vitro place in Akron that guarantees you're going to have a baby. They guarantee it. And they're just going to keep doing it until they have it. And it was so special to them because they obviously have a daughter now that wouldn't otherwise exist, that he and his wife pay for, and it is not cheap. One couple a quarter, so 4 times a year, and they've done that for 4 years. And we recently just had a reunion where all of these babies that would not exist if it weren't for Matt and Lisa.
It is expensive.
It is extremely expensive. And Matt and Lisa write that check every quarter to a new family. And I was in the room with all these parents and children, and I don't know that I'd ever felt the kind of energy and love that I felt in a single room than that one. And that's just one of many things that he does. Incredible guy. Absolutely incredible. Couple, family, the whole deal. Okay. NCAA tournament. This is
before
in your
that,
wheelhouse,
the Cavs.
right?
The Cavs.
Oh, we want to do Cavs,
Yeah.
not the
Yeah,
tournament?
we're gonna preview the Cavs Nets
We'll do
tonight.
the Cavs
Okay.
next. We'll hold the Mobley part of
Here's
it.
the
We'll do a
good
little
news.
Cavs
Only
next.
20 days till the regular season is over. My God.
Yeah, it's dragging.
Oh, this is the last few weeks of the NBA season is painful.
Yeah, get me to April.
Man.
No, you disagree?
I think the last 20 days is a little more exciting than the middle.
What's exciting?
The West.
the
playoff
West
seeding
is
in the
wild,
West,
wild West. The
There is
playing games.
between
Who cares
there
about
are-
the play-in games? These teams have no chance.
No.
In
The
the West,
difference
they do.
between the
Yeah.
4 and the 13 is like 3 games.
Yeah,
Think about that.
yeah.
That's insane.
I love
LeBron coming back for the
the
playing game. The
Lakers
Lakers
are
could be
probably
the
going
8th
to make
seed
the
versus
playoffs.
either 1 seed Nuggets or 2 seed Grizzlies or Suns or whoever.
You
ends up in
never
that
want to
2
sleep
seed.
on the Warriors.
They're going to be playing. They'll be a playing team.
They will too.
Speaking of change the rules, I love the playing stuff that the NBA did.
I'd hate it if I was a 1
I
seed,
think
but
it
I think
sucks.
it's fun for the league.
I think it sucks because maybe the West this year is an example, but for the most part, those teams have no chance to win. So what's the point of putting them in?
That's fair.
No, they don't. But
Well, it's a progression. Like right now, we're looking at the Cavs, right?
Yeah.
Last year they were on the fringes, and so they looked like they were hitting on their strides, and they didn't really make the playoffs. However, that gave them the gumption to say, all right, well we're close. Let's go out and look at a trade for Donovan Mitchell.
Well, they
Now
did-
look where
and
they're
the
at.
experience, if you only took
Yeah.
4, those bottom 4 are never going to know what it's like to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Were they the 8 seed or 9 seed last year? The Cavs.
They were the 7, I thought.
They were the 7 and
the
lost
play-in?
to the Hawks and then lost
Yeah.
to
They lost
Brooklyn.
both of their playing
Well,
games.
okay,
Yeah.
so they would have made the playoffs if there was no.
All they had to
play-in.
do was win
win
one
one.
of them.
One. Yeah. Okay. No.
Yeah.
Well,
wasn't sure
but
what seed.
if we still had the 8 teams, and the Cavs would have that would have been better for the Cavs had there
Much
been the
better.
traditional
Yeah, much
playoff
better.
system.
Yeah, but they
instead you got
still-
this stupid 1-game playoff with a 9 and 10 seed that have no chance of winning. So what's the point?
Well, Brooklyn last year.
Get the experience.
Brooklyn last year had enough.
But what
talent.
experience? We keep saying the Cavs have no experience.
You tell me that are you going to sleep on the Warriors? You say they have no chance out
Nah.
west? I'm not.
Unless they're the Warriors or the Lakers.
Or the Lakers,
Yeah.
either one.
Right now, neither. Right now,
Potentially both.
okay, right now, neither would be in the play-in. So, at this moment,
No, they're
Oh, Lakers technically the 13 or the 11.
Warriors
right
are
now.
the 6 seed,
Yeah,
and the Lakers are the 11. So neither would be in the play-in at the moment.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, if you're going to dismiss the bottom half of the playoffs, like the 7,
I'm
6,
saying
7,
the
8,
play-in teams have generally. We'll see if the Lakers get in, although I don't think they have any chance to win.
I wouldn't want the Lakers in the playoffs. I just wouldn't.
The teams 7 through 10 are never winning a championship.
And the Lakers are going to. I think they're going to be in the play.
Who's the lowest seed? Who's the lowest seed that ever? I think the Cavs might have been one of the lowest seeds to ever
At a
make the
4.
finals.
Well, the Knicks made it as an 8 seed in the lockout season.
That was a
in
lie. It was a weird
99.
season.
That's a
Yeah.
weird season.
But
Tough
they
to
didn't
count
win.
that one.
Yeah.
You
Tough to
never
count
have
that
lower
one.
seeds. They never win.
No,
so what's the
it's
point
tough
of
in a
adding more
best of
teams?
7 series. The
Yeah.
better team wins 80% of the time. Like very rarely do you see major upsets, and if you do, it's for
It's a
someone got
5
hurt,
over a
flawed.
4.
Yeah,
The only one I can remember.
Sixers have beaten 3s.
yeah, but,
And I think a 7 beat a 2. Didn't Denver once as a 7 win a series?
well, I mean, Golden State beat Dallas as 8.
Denver beat the Supersonics.
And they were 2. The Sonics were
Right,
2
but
and Denver
we
was a
barely
7.
ever had. I think only 1 or 2 8s have ever won a series.
Yeah,
let alone
Golden
done
State
anything beyond
beat
that.
Dallas in like 2008 or 9. The We Believe Warriors, Monte Ellis, Baron Davis,
Oh my God! I
Oh,
remember
shut
that
up!
group.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh!
and I think it happened one more time. I can't.
So
think of who
they
it is,
play the
but-
Nets tonight. You like them because you think they're playing better on the road. I
Yeah.
do too, by the way, and I do think you've been a supporter of the Nets. I keep thinking that
It's a wonky matchup with the Nets and the Cavs because what the Cavs don't do well against, the Nets have a plethora of in long athletic wings.
Right.
What the Nets are horrible against is exactly what the Cavs do very well, size.
Yeah.
So it's a weird matchup of which style is going to be predominant in this game.
strength
And
versus weakness.
on both sides. So
Yeah.
if the Cavs can dictate the pace of this game, I actually really like the Cavs in this matchup. If they play down to what the Nets want them to do, which is play small, I do think it favors the Nets. But I actually like the Cavs in this matchup.
By the way,
as
if the Cavs go 5-1 on the road, there's 6 road games left.
They're not going 5-1.
Well, they're playing all bad teams.
Yeah, but my God, they've been a bad road team this
Well,
year.
but they haven't been. There's now only 4 games under 500. So if they go 5-1 on the road the rest of the season,
They finish 500.
and their 6 remaining road games are Brooklyn, Atlanta, Orlando.
Wait,
Oh, they only have 5 more road games. I'm sorry. They got to go, well.
Yeah, because you have 41 road games, and aren't they 16 and 20?
Right. Yeah. So they'd have to go if they go 5-0.
5-0, then
they finish over 500 on the road.
It is doable. Those are crappy teams.
Those are all bad teams.
But to think that they're going to pull off all 5,
and they are
that's
fighting
a big
for a playoff spot, though. So it's not like they're going to be punting on any of these games.
But even if
not.
they go 4-1 and finish 20-22 on the road, that's not that bad considering how bad they were early.
Yeah, because they were in a big hole.
Yeah.
By the way, the Seattle Supersonics lost to the Nuggets. They were a 1 seed
and an 8
seed.
Okay, I remember.
And then
Denver.
the Knicks won as an 8 seed.
And the Knicks
but
won
it's
in
very
shorts.
rare that an 8 wins.
And the lowest seed ever to win it is the Rockets.
Was it 4 or 5?
That's a 6 seed.
Was that Hakeem?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
That's the only one time they've
94,
won.
95.
And Jordan had to leave the sport for that to happen.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah. So
Otherwise,
very rarely happens.
Yeah, it does. I like the Cavs tonight too. Everybody agrees?
I'll take them.
I just think that the Nets. It'd be very difficult for them to catch the Knicks, correct?
Yeah, they're 3 back.
3 back.
I mean,
with
I don't
10
see that
games,
that's
yeah.
happening. I mean, I feel like the playoff matchups in the East are pretty locked in.
What would you got?
Boston and Philly.
1 game apart, right?
Yeah, 2-3. That's
They're tied in the
that's
loss
close.
column.
They're tied
That's
in the loss
very
column.
close.
Yeah. And they play each other again before the end of the season.
How much of a
Actually, by the way, Brooklyn is only 1 game back of the Knicks in the loss column.
Yeah.
So that's not over.
Are they-
The Knicks are 42-31. The Nets are 39-32.
Do you guys believe that the Cavs have a home court advantage? And how much of a home court advantage do you think it is worth, like in the NBA? Like when you back in the day,
They're
when
one of the
LeBron-
better home teams.
I think that they're one of the better home crowds.
I think it's enough to win the first round playoff series. I don't think it's enough to beat Milwaukee.
Because back in the day when it was Cavs and Warriors, you just knew you weren't going to win in
Yeah, no,
Cleveland or Royal. It just was not going to
tough,
happen.
man.
I
It
think
was
it's
tough.
not enough of an advantage for them to feel confident about beating Milwaukee, but it is
No.
to beat the Knicks or Nets.
What you hope to do against Milwaukee is just hold serve and find a way to steal one.
I'm hoping for an injury. That's
Yeah, well,
Cavs got to get
that
past
too.
the first. I mean, Cavs got to get past the first round.
I know, and that's not going to be easy.
Cavs are much more likely to lose in the first round than they are to win in the second round.
A twisted ankle, a pulled hamstring. I'm all game for that. I've even talked to God about it. I said, listen, I feel bad about it. I'm not going to ask for the blown out knee or any surgery.
Giannis only has a ring because the entire Nets team got hurt in that
I don't know if that's the reason, but
they went to Game 7 and lost by an inch without James Harden and Kyrie Irving.
Hey, watch out! Don't be up underneath.
I hate when people say that because people always say, "Well, if Draymond Green didn't get suspended, the Cavs would have won." I don't give a shit.
It happened.
I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just saying they wouldn't have.
Don't be such a punk on the court, and you wouldn't have been suspended.
That's a fact.
Grabbing LeBron's balls or whatever.
We haven't done final takes in a long time. Does anybody want to do one? We've got 8 minutes left here.
NCAA tournament.
Yeah, hey, before I get in for final takes, I want to remind you guys, 12 o'clock lunch hour sponsored by Colleague Racing. Colleague Racing, your Northeast Ohio NASCAR team.
Yes, they are.
We thought a little tournament, we do final takes, doesn't matter. I got one each, so.
Let's do the tournament for overtime, Mikey, since you're out here today.
I thought we were going to do Goodell for overtime.
We can punt Goodell.
Punt Goodell?
I'm making the producer decision.
A lot of people would like to punt Goodell.
We'll go with the rest of the people.
Okay, so we'll do NCAA tournament in overtime.
Overtime today, yes.
And we'll do final takes now.
Yeah, I know Mike said he had a final take before we
Go ahead, Mike.
I got like 2 half final takes, so I'll do both.
Okay.
One of the last times I was in this chair, I did a final take on how Cleveland kind of feels like home to me now. I'm starting to make some friends, meet some people, and it's not a stopping ground. And someone had reached out to me, my man Hunter, after I did that final take and said, hey, I just moved here as well. You know, what you said really hit home. And he's like, if you ever want to go grab a beer, let's go grab a beer. So I was like, all right, I'm a nice guy. I'll take you up on that. Let's do it. And Hunter's cool as shit. Cool dude. This guy watches the show.
Oh.
Got a beer with, just moved here too. Not from Cleveland. So now I got my new boy Hunter, plays basketball. So we're going to hoop together soon. So sometimes weird things like that come in. But, Bull, this is my next final takes for you.
Yeah.
Getting my first ever massage tonight. Professional massage.
Oh.
Wow.
Look at
Why
you.
Are you looking to Bull?
You didn't take my advice on where to go?
I got a gift card somewhere.
Oh,
so
okay.
I didn't really have a choice. But you are the massage expert on this panel.
Yeah, because it's true. I go every 2 weeks.
He's the Deshaun Watson of
No.
I did not say that.
No,
No.
thank you.
Did
No,
not
thank
say
you.
that.
I've got I don't go to 7,000 different masseuses.
I did not want this to go there. I was going to ask a genuine question.
And my penis has never been exposed to a massage therapist.
Hey, now the great thing about it is
keep it that way.
See how
that's not what I want this to go.
See how much a difference a year makes.
Yeah.
Like, look, 1 year later, you're like, oh,
we're joking about it.
Last year, people would have been on the floor arguing and punching each other. What do you mean? I'm not exposed. What are you talking about? Like, that was a whole thing. Look.
Tell them what to expect. How's this going to go down?
You've never gone for a massage in your life?
No, never in my whole life. And it's a
what? Not even when you were an athlete?
I mean, I got like the massage gun, but never like.
So how long are you going for? An hour?
An hour deep tissue massage.
I don't go.
Brace yourself.
Yeah,
that
can hurt a little. I don't do deep tissue.
That's why I'm asking.
I do drink a lot when you're done.
A lot of water?
Yes.
The masseuse will tell you, he or she, make sure you drink a lot of water at the end.
Cheers.
And early on, when I would get them, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, I'm hydrated. But it makes a huge, huge difference.
You got to decide also, like, it's annoying. Like, with my masseuse, she and I talk. We've become friendly.
Oh, really?
Yes, I like to talk.
I don't. Let me be.
But some people don't like. When my wife gets a massage, she don't want to talk at all.
I'm like that.
And most people are that way.
Yeah.
I like to chit-chat. But
I can't believe Bo likes
to
to
mind
talk.
from fully relaxing?
Oh, no. It's the best massage ever. I fully relax. But,
yeah.
you can.
Yeah.
For me, it's relaxing to chit-chat. I like to chit-chat.
Okay.
Yeah. But you got to decide, because sometimes the masseuse will talk to you and you don't want to talk, and that's annoying.
So here's the nonverbals that you're going to give, okay?
Yeah.
She won't ask you, are you okay if I talk? Most of them just do it.
Yeah.
Or they're very respectful and they'll wait for you to talk.
That's right.
So if you might say, how's your day going? That's going to be the cue for her. It's like riding an airplane.
Yeah.
When you go on an airplane, this is my rule. If you're open for conversation, no hood up,
right.
No headphones in. If you're not, you throw them in right away. You put the hood up right away, that's the social cue.
Should I bring headphones?
Leave me alone. No, you don't need to. She'll have music that's playing.
Okay. Yeah.
But what you can do is you will drive the bus. If you start asking questions, she's like, he's good for conversation.
If the music's too loud, I'm like, can you turn down the music?
Yeah, or you can tell her. They'll give you like new age music. It's massage music.
Yeah.
If you have a preference for something else, tell her. She'll give you whatever you want.
You got to go into it knowing what you want done. Like, if there's a part of your body you don't want her to massage, tell her in advance.
Or if you're having a real hard time with your back.
Not everything is inappropriate, for crying out loud.
You just smile.
I don't like, until I trust a massage therapist, I don't let them touch my neck.
Really?
I don't like my neck to be touched. Now, with my massage therapist I've been going to her for 6 months. I'm comfortable with her. I trust her. So now she does my neck.
That's interesting.
But I don't like to, with a new person, do my neck.
The other thing is, if you like I said, if you're up for conversation, you ask questions.
Yes.
If you're not, and she asks questions, one word answer.
Yes. Then she'll get to hit.
Yes
And
or
she'll
no.
get. It's just like a cab ride, an Uber ride.
Okay.
It's the same thing. You're going to get what you put out.
That's right.
So just know that.
So let's be clear. Like, see, what they won't tell you is, as you start single, you can get that off. But as you matriculate and get older, I can't get none of that off. There's no like that was part of that was part of the prenuptial agreements.
What do you mean?
I was telling during the Watson thing. I was telling my wife. I said, yo, man, I need to give some of these massages. She was like, no, you do not. You get no massage. If you want massage, I give you massage.
Oh, so she's got a no massage rule.
What you mean no?
No massage.
I go for a massage. I'm married.
Oh, yeah. My wife has no problem with that.
Yeah.
I have no problem with her getting a massage.
Yeah.
Why would I?
No. Well,
She doesn't want another woman putting hands on her.
That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have the track record I got.
G-Bush got divorced once, getting like his wife's tone of voice.
Like, you got the track record. Y'all got
history's a bitch sometimes, isn't it?
Like she'd be like, listen, no, you way too friendly. You talk too much. You be in there telling all your life story, and obviously I didn't know that you couldn't be talking to people in there. That's a whole relationship.
Yeah, G would be like me, chit-chat.
If you ain't got no clothes on and you sitting there talking about your whole life story, that's a relationship. Like,
pretty intimate one.
Together.
I mean, you're laying there, what you came into the world with. Let me ask you this: Are you gonna start conversation, or you want peace and quiet?
I'm gonna see how, because people said deep tissue hurts.
It does hurt.
So I'm gonna see how much it hurts before I start talking.
Don't be afraid to tap out too.
By the way,
by tap out, I mean, come on now, guys. by tap out, I mean if it's going too hard and it's too painful, just, say, okay, I'm good right there.
One time I got a massage that was so bad that I stopped it halfway through.
I'm just chilling. I just want my hand.
Wow. Did you go to the bullpen? You wanted a second masseuse?
I just said, I got to get going. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I basically was like, I got to get going.
I know I scheduled an hour.
Here for a sec?
Yeah.
By the way, I just really want to thank G for this barbershop merch, by the way.
Yeah.
I really got my hoodie.
Yeah.
And G, you texted us, but I can't get it into tag board fast
Steve's
enough.
got wearing his. Mike's wearing one today.
Yeah, I'm going to wear mine later
G
this
got
week.
one for my son. He was excited he wore it to school today.
I was trying to show it. Shout out to Aaron for holding the barbershop down in school.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big. I got emotional because I was like, man, you know how sometimes you give somebody something they won't wear it because it's whack?
Yeah.
I'm like, they actually wore it. It's not whack.
Anthony,
it looks great.
Put the camera on
My
Dr.
wife
Steve.
loved hers too.
Yeah, he was very excited.
It's great. Thank you very much.
Hey, man, so shout out to you
Dr.
guys.
Steve's got his G. Bush stuff on.
For representing it,
that's
and I
true.
appreciate y'all, man.
What is the
Steve.
the mascot's name again?
My mascot's name is Paxton.
Paxton
but this
the
is,
Panda.
I didn't
How did you settle on Paxton?
Just
What with the panda
alliteration?
alliteration?
Overtime's coming up.
Because it sounds like it's Blasian a little bit. Paxton, it could be anything. It's white guy, black guy.
Okay.
It just works well.
All right. Overtime. We're talking about the NCAA tournament.
Peace.